Hello, everyone, and welcome to Vile Shadows and a Honeyed Smile. Thank you for joining us for another evening of Dungeons and Dragons. I am Justin. Some of you may know me from last week and the week before. I will be your dungeon master tonight. We are thrilled to be streaming at twitch.tv/D&D and twitch.tv/RollTogetherRPG. For those of you who are new to Dungeons and Dragons, some of you will be, some of you will not be. Returning viewers will probably be familiar with from previous streams. Everyone here, other than myself, for reasons which will become apparent shortly, play fantasy characters in a fantasy universe. The 5 players all have their own unique character, and in-game as well, am I right? With sheets that tell them who they are, what they can do, their deepest secrets, and what die to roll, or dice indeed. Mostly rolling a 20-sided die to see whether they succeed in what they're doing. And so in D&D, the higher number, the better. So for instance, if somebody rolls one of these, 20, that is about as good as it can get. And if somebody rolls one of these, a 1, that's as bad as it can get. If it lands actually and 20 is facing upwards, that's what we call a natural 20, and with the 1 facing upwards, that's a natural 1, which are respectively critical successes and critical fails. You'll see them during the game, or you may already have done so. Who knows? While they play their characters, everything else in the fantasy universe, ranging from the people, the monsters, the building, the weather patterns, the laws of physics, the laws of magic, the history books, literally everything is played or mediated by me, the Dungeon Master. I'm kind of a cross between a narrator and a referee. Between me describing the world and the story, the players describing what they want to do, and some dice rolls to keep things unpredictable for all of us. Otherwise, it would just be like, I succeed automatically. We tell our story. So in most recent events in Vile Shadows and a Honeyed Smile, in 2 episodes ago, the party came to the strange little village of Drumber up in High Moor, where they were contacted by a gnome with extremely powerful magical abilities, seemingly based around illusion. This fellow, Master Taman Brittlegrin, and I've forgotten his surname, Halveril. Master Taman Brittlegrin Halveril has contacted them to be part of the what he calls the HMRC, which is the High Moor Magic Items Retrieval, Spelunking and Retrieval Company, but it's registered as the High Moor Retrieval Company, for not at all to have a cheap joke. Nothing I ever run is based around a cheap joke. So having been contacted and sort of generally getting a bit of an odd steer from this dude, but thinking, hey, money's money, they have been contacted to go and fight and slay a definitely very small, easy to fight dragon. Absolutely, it's gonna be the easiest thing ever. Going through the terrain of the high moor, sort of bleak and barren, and increasingly, although some of the High Moor it's quite dry, the area they're in is very much blanket peat bog, and it's grim and it's horrid, and they've had 3 awful days of being kept up at night by wolves and cold weather and nearly freezing to death and all that kind of fun juicy stuff. Now in the last night they were attacked in the middle of the night by a strange spectre, bound in chains, who seemed to summon a rather large horde of undead after a generally sort of chaotic and mayhem-filled combat involving exploding zombies and hiding and stabbing things and hitting things very, very hard, and some general kind of bumbling as well, and a real world of 2 halves on the rolls, like halfway between sort of absolutely stunning success and halfway between shameful, ignominious failure. Put your teeth in, Justin. Eventually, they fought off the worst of the undead. The being went, I will return for what is mine, and faded away into the mist, and then they all had a sleep. Unfortunately, it turned out that Aldrin was, our party cleric, was cursed by a mummy's rot. One of the bog mummies managed to grab him and sort of curse him, and rather than wither away over a series of days, he's managed to cast a spell to remove the curse, but he remains a little bit beaten up and a little bit unhealthy and a little bit low on spells. The next day, Ferocity, Silk Dragon, and I've got confused about who's in which cult. Ferocity Silk Dragon is in a different, potentially evil cult. But nonetheless, Velocity Silk Dragon was doing some absolutely superb hiding in other people's spaces and being general sneaky and yet fabulous at the same time.
Not a cult, it's a church.
It's a charity. We have charitable status. So Aldrin introduced Cecil, our resident assassin with a need to be loved and a need to feel good about himself. Aldrin introduced Cecil and inducted him into the Church of Mask, who is absolutely a really definitely lovely god. Really
differently good.
Differently good is the term. Differently good is the preferred term. In the meantime, in the previous night, Trey and Tin had just spent the whole time kicking inordinate amounts of ass. So that's and we left off with as they were traveling into the next stage of their journey, getting closer to the ancient ruined building which they believe to be the dragon's lair, and fighting through this hideous, thick, spiky, thorny undergrowth and foul water and clouds of flies. After a few hours, much of the way through the day, despite the fact that this is unbelievably difficult terrain to traverse, so they're about sort of, you know, they've only traveled 5 miles, but it's taken them about, you know, several hours to do it. Tin, having sort of chowed through most of her water bottle, decided to have another glug and scooped up some of the water and immediately threw it up, at which point it became apparent that the water here is no good to drink and they might be in trouble in terms of how much water they have. The joys of survival. That's where we left off. We are now going to pick up with everybody introducing themselves. So we're going to go, I think I went clockwise last time, so we're going to go anti-clockwise around my screen this time. If you could introduce yourselves, the pronouns which you use, your character, and the pronouns which they use, that would be marvellous. Oh, you can also give a little bit about their class and species as well. Anna, we shall begin with you, for you are on the top left of my screen.
Hello, I'm Anna. My pronouns are she and her, and I am playing Tin, who is a half-orc barbarian fighter person whose pronouns are also she and her, and she has proved herself to be a rather skillful battle axe wielder.
I mean, it's astonishing having a combat character actually being good at something. You know,
Yes.
This is her. We have her many. We'll talk about these in a moment. Rebecca, over to you.
Hi, I'm Rebecca. I use she/her pronouns. I am playing Cecil. He uses he/him pronouns. He is a high elf rogue assassin who is very good at sneaking up on people and stabbing them, and very bad at playing the violin and making sensible choices.
Bless his cotton socks.
He's in a cult now.
He's in a cult now.
This is fine.
It's not a cult, it's a charity. Oh no, that's the other one.
It is such a strong word.
Yeah. David.
Hello, I hope everyone's doing well. I am David, pronouns are he, him, and I am playing Aldrin, also he, him, a human variant cleric, and definitely the most trustworthy member of the group, not involved in a cult.
It's a church. Toby.
Hi, my name is Toby Osmond. I go by he, him, usually. And I play Ferocity Silk Dragon, who goes by she, her, or just Your Majesty. I am a rouge halfling. And I'm perfectly innocent and fabulous. I'm, according to myself, Baldur's Gate #1 voguer on the ballroom dance floors of the nighttime ballroom scene, especially in the Coronet. You've probably heard of me.
Sadly,
That's
no
me.
mechanical benefits to that. But,
And I'm not in a cult, I'm in a church. And also the Church of Mask is a very established church, because most of the rogues on Faerun follow Mask. So
there we go.
ain't no cult, boo.
Ain't no cult. And Evie.
Hi,
I am Evie, and I go by she, her pronouns, and my character is called Trey, which is short for training dummy. They go by they, them pronouns, and they are a Warforged Shadow Monk who has a little bit of a fetish for smells, just absolutely loves any strong smells, and is honestly just having the best time connecting with the party members and being in this very stinky swamp. So they're having a great day.
And they're looking fabulous at the moment as well.
Yes. Oh yeah, they've had a very nice makeover from Ferocity, and they're looking beautiful.
Fantastic. These are our characters. Marvelous. So before we fully kick off, the stream is going to run for 3 hours. There will be roughly a 5-10 minute break somewhere in the middle for everyone to go and sort of get cups of tea and perform their ablutions. We are delighted, speaking of characters, delighted to be sponsored by Hero Forge. Hero Forge offers fully customizable tabletop miniatures with dozens of fantasy races and thousands of parts to choose from. Unbelievable stuff. You can go in. They've got a whole range of time periods as well. So you've got fantasy stuff and like Wild West stuff and sort of modern-y, cyberpunky stuff, so you can have like a dude with a battle axe and a laser rifle if you like. It's fantastic. They've got this sort of great, sort of super easy to use design tool. It's a 3D modeling program. I can't do words today for some reason. And you design your miniature during that. You do it online. It's fully 3D. It's incredibly in-depth. You can modify. I recently went back on and was like, oh, I can modify how long my character's arms are. I can modify what the sort of body fat percentage on their right arm is. It's extraordinary.
You can give them heels.
And that really is the most important point. So Hero Forge is constantly expanding their catalogue of customization options, and you can find them at www.heroforge.com. We are also delighted to be sponsored by Ultra Pro. So these they produce sort of character folios and dice bags, great for getting everything organized and kind of squirreled away. Because as I don't know whether you can see my bookshelf back there, but I'm going to probably be in need of going to a bit of an Ultra Pro, because my method of filing is shove it on the shelf. They're leading manufacturer and suppliers of sports and gaming collectibles accessories, as well as other gaming accessories, including this absolutely delightful owlbear, little floofy snowy owlbear, who is also a dice bag. Check this out. You gut it, and then you find dice inside it. Don't do it to a real animal.
Disembowel bear.
Yeah, gee. I feel sad now. Aldrin dies instantly.
That's one of your best ever, Dave.
That was good. I'm just angry that I didn't do it. If you join us in the Twitch chat today, you can win one of these. Just say anything, and you get entered into a random draw. Sadly, it must be in a UK address only. Otherwise, head over to www.fullstop. I don't know. I'm trying to do a Brian Butterfield. It's just ultrapro.com for more. You can find other things. So inside my delightful owlbear, who I've in fact yet to name, we can squidge out the dice, and we will find something from one of our other sponsors, which is Level Up Dice, who are proud to present these, which are their table shakers line. They're gigantic. They're made of solid metal. They're like cannonballs. They're awesome. Essentially, they rolling them makes it feel like Gotterdammerung on every roll. Even if it's like I roll to see whether I cook a good omelette. It's like this is very meaningful omelette. Just listen to the massive. It's dented my pad of paper. Strongly recommend using a dice tray for them, but they're absolutely fantastic. They really give a kind of good impact to the rolls. They're available now. We are also supported by D&D Beyond, Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms, Level Up Dice, and Zavi.com. More information, competitions, links to purchase some of the items we use in our streams, and more can be found on our social media, Roll Together RPG everywhere else. And if you are actually looking for an Idle Champions code, it should be floating somewhere in the bottom left, or you can type !code into the chat. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, we play with a diverse group of players who play a diverse set of characters with wide-ranging sexual and gender identities. Our tables are explicitly trans-positive, and we encourage and champion trans players and characters in our games. The DM may portray characters that are of a different gender to their own. We aim as far as we are able to avoid misgendering. We do acknowledge that it can happen, however. So we have a company policy in place for correcting people on pronouns. If we miss an instance of misgendering, please correct us. Very welcome. Do let us know if you think we've balked it, and we will do our best to rectify the mistake. Last of all, the Patreon has launched. There's a link in the chat at the moment. Come and support us. You can start from just one single lowly dollar. And thank you to the D20 Club for your patronage. We find ourselves in a swamp, a horrid swamp, a cold swamp, a grim swamp, one where you are surrounded by buzzing clouds of flies and fetid water, tangled briars and brambles and sort of whippy alder branches that keep on slapping you whenever you go past them and snagging on clothes. There's no leaves anywhere. There's also a really sort of uncomfortable lack of the sound of any birds other than crows. In fact, the closer you get to this strange, awful, cracked, ruined building that you can just about make out over the thick mist that hangs above these low plants, is that this place is infested with crows cawing and crying. And in fact, having sort of soaked through most of her water skin earlier during the day, Tin decided to have a big old glug. And immediately, and sort of in a way that you don't normally do with fouled water, brought it straight back up in a truly projectile fashion, whereupon the party probably realised that the water here is bad to drink. We're about 1 mile from your destination, this ruined building on this old hummock, and we are working our way through the undergrowth. Is there anything anyone would like to do right now, having had Tin vomit everywhere?
Tim would just like to say, because she's not certain that it's clear from the fact that she's thrown it all back up that the water's bad, she's going to turn to the party and explicitly say, just so you're aware, the water might be bad.
Wash, thank you, darling. Yes, listen, if you need to go for a number 2, you just do it. No shame, because often that stuff comes out both sides.
What is meant by a number 2?
Poopy.
Oh, right. One of those icky bionic things that smells so interesting.
Biological, I suppose. I think you're bionic. This is... I don't know what bionic means.
Ferocity rolls an intelligence check and probably comes out with a 10 with that response. We find ourselves in the swamp, so I'm going to need y'all to make a survival check, or whoever is leading the party through the swamp to make some sort of survival check to see whether you understand where on earth you are. Who would be leading the party? Probably Tin, because Tin has Outlander badass skills.
I got a 15 on a survival check.
A 15. Well, on a 15, that does actually mean that you are just about managing to navigate your way through this hideous mess. I think Tin, for all of having just thrown up and sort of generally feeling a bit peely-wally now, you've got a really good sense of direction. Your time out in the northern wilds means you have a strong instinctual sort of internal compass, and you can just stop. Maybe you look up and so the rain has pretty much stopped now, but you're now just engulfed in freezing fog. But nonetheless, by the about time of day, you can look up and see the strange diaphanous glowing circle that is the sun coming through the fog, and you can sort of go, right, that's about there, which means we're going in this direction, and we know to be going in this direction. And you're managing to consistently navigate around all these stands of plants and pushing through them or cutting through them if need be. Hard, tiring, unpleasant work nonetheless.
Aldrin is wondering if Tin's vomit always points north because she got a lot better at navigating after throwing up.
It does that thing where it's like one of those sort of non-UI trackers where you like vomit and it flows in the direction the objective is in. What a horrid image. Sometimes I regret my own images. Sometimes
we don't.
I do that. Yeah, good. At least somebody doesn't. Very, very, very generous, horrid image provider. So if everybody would like to let me know what their party order is in and let me know the speed at which they are marching. Who's going to be first? Probably 10.
Yeah, and I think she's trying to kind of power through it, like, as quick as she can, because she just wants to get there now. Bored of this journey.
Well, she's facing that direction, so that can be the front of the party. Who would be following Tin?
Nobody wants
to be near.
You might get caught in the backdraft, that's the problem.
Yeah, you can be side by side if you wish.
I feel like I'd maybe be next to Trey if they're feeling chatty.
Where would Trey be?
Yeah, I think Trey would probably be... Yeah, let's go next to Tin.
Next, you're following Tin. So we have Tin, Trey, and Ferocity.
I think we're discussing bionics, maybe.
and the semantics of it.
Yeah. Nothing we like more in D&D than a good old etymology chat.
Presuming everyone wants to be upwind of Trey, so Aldrin is definitely bringing up the rear and lagging slightly, like a Gimli in Lord of the Rings distance back. On account of
the key. Breathe.
The injury that's still being carried is slowing him slightly.
Yeah, fair enough. And presumably Cecil will be in front of.
Yeah. Apparently trying to stab Aldrin looking at the minis, but it's all...
Oh, it looks like they're trying to stab... It looks like they're both trying to stab someone who's about here.
Oh, nice. Teamwork.
Church of Mask.
Stab the giant floating eyeball. Ooh, this is a rubber. Cool. Just need to check something. Very good. Thank you for that. Top secret things going on in the chat. We have Tin at the front is presumably going to be doing all the navigating. Then we have the next two who are chatting. Then what's Cecil going to be up to?
Cecil is trying to work up the courage to have a chat to Aldrin about the decision he made, but at the moment he is writing a diary entry in his head.
Can you just for shits and giggles? Can you please make an intelligence roll?
Oh, I'm not as stupid as I play him. Okay, let's see how this goes.
Oh, he's low whiz. He's not. He's low whiz, but moderate int.
I usually dump int, and I haven't this time. That is what a waste of a natural 20. And I just.
What I was going to say is that what that means is that. This is slightly terrifyingly well put together. It's like one of those people who can not just sort of think about sort of intention and all that kind of thing. You're like mind palacing this image of, like, you can see it on the page and you're like, and there shall go the semicolon, and here I shall put a serif. It's a really in your head. This is an exquisite. It's a real. This is one to match the diarists of the ages. This is like some Samuel Pepys shit. It's powerful, beautiful. Really puts you in a good light. Makes the others sound good only insofar as they need to be good to make you sound good. It's the kind of thing where they're not rubbish because that would reflect poorly on you, but nor are they as good as you.
So
it's a
a
very
really
good
accurate
dialogue.
representation of event. Great.
Why not? Sure, why not? Let's go with that. Aldrin, what are you up to?
Aldrin is
Buzz, am I right?
backseat driving through the swamp. Like, I don't know, this is the rat way. God damn it. Just feeling a bit sorry for himself because he's like, how many times am I going to get cursed in this life? Contemplating whether converting others into mask is going to be enough to regain favor, wondering where the spells are still coming from when bad shit is happening to him on a daily basis, and genuinely just sort of wincing every few steps and thinking like, don't drink the goddamn water, and waiting for an opportunity to speak to Cecil to see if the Viscount can be co-opted to help convert the others.
Ooh, strong. Nice. Just so you know, that reminded me actually, speaking of bad luck, as an additional mechanic, partially because for various other bonuses which have become apparent, we decided to curse Aldrin, not during the game, as part of character creation. And so at some point in the past, Aldrin has been cursed, which means I get to, at the start of every session, roll 3d20s, and I get to replace either his rolls or an NPC targeting him with the rolls that I have got. So there's a 17, a 6, and a 4. So I basically get to screw with him. It's lots of fun.
It's not removed by remove curse.
No, it is not. It is a powerful divine curse. And Aldrin, can you please make a charisma throw?
Yes. Check or saving throw?
Just a check.
Cool. Come on, D&D Beyond. D&D Beyond. That's a 6.
A 6. I was going to make you to make a survival check to see how people responded to your backseat navigating. I think everyone's just outright ignoring you. I feel like it's the kind of thing where people, it's the kind of thing, they're not even ignoring you being like, what a dick. They don't even realize that you're talking to them.
Yeah.
It's, one of those things where like, you're like, sorry, were you talking to me? And you're like, I've been talking to you for 5 minutes. I'm so sorry. I didn't realize. Yes, and so Trey and Frosty are discussing the relative terms bionic and biological. And Tin, how are you navigating? Is there anything you're particularly like? Is there any like traditional orcish methods of navigation, or are you just sort of bumbling through?
I think it's definitely, so we've already spotted this kind of hill, haven't we? I think very simply, she's just remembering where the hill was in relation to kind of the setting sun and the rising sun, and now just has a knowledge of how the sun tracks and like what direction that means it's in. Yeah. So I like the idea that it's just like literally cutting the Gordian knot. You're like, we will go in a straight line, and you just grab your hand axes and they're just chopping through the stuff. It's just goodbye, get out. Yes, she's bored of the traveling bit. She wants to do the thing that she's actually going to be paid to do. So she's just like hacking away through it all, limbs akimbo, plonking through. Okie doke. So is everybody moving? What pace would people like to be moving at? Fast pace, medium pace, or slow pace? Fast pace is quicker, but gives you disadvantage on stealth checks and perception checks. Regular is regular, and slow gives you advantage on stealth checks.
Fast? I feel like we're all a bit miserable and cold and just want to get there.
Yeah, I feel like if Tin were travelling by herself, she'd definitely be moving at a fast pace. But it depends on what the rest of the party want to do.
Also, how poorly Aldrin is feeling.
Yes, that is true.
Yeah, fast is going to be a push for Aldrin. He's still trying to work out what the deific message was about.
Does it count as difficult terrain as well, which is half?
It is difficult terrain, so you will be moving at half speed because you don't have a ranger with you either.
Ferocity, being a halfling, has a slower movement speed than most, and she absolutely won't hurry herself. So.
Medium then?
I guess it's a regular. Great.
Ferocity will get there when she gets
there. When I get there.
As she should.
If you need a lift, I am very strong.
Thank you, darling, but I'm fine. I'm fine. It's nice to take in the environment.
I'm also fine, by the way. Thank you for asking.
Oh, you're still here. Hi.
Yep. Yeah.
Darling, Aldrin, what's wrong with you? Why are you being a moat?
Just a little bit of a physical hangover from the last encounter we had.
I'd offer you some physical hair of the dog, but I drank it all. Sorry.
I will bear that in mind the next time it comes to the sharing of the rations.
No, I literally look. She gets out her wine skin. Look, it's nothing. I'm sorry.
That is a fair point.
Oh no, is Frosty going to have to do the rest of the campaign sober?
Hungover.
I could play. Brian Butterfield. Here we go. I could play you a cheerful marching song to raise your spirits, if you'd like, friend.
Frosty's just looking down.
Would anybody respond to that, or would
That's the
Cecil
best
go
we
ahead?
should maybe keep on the down low as we get closer. Don't want to alert any.
I would like to hear it.
Oh God.
I'm gonna see how sensible Cecil's going to be. That was a 2. Cecil gets out his fire and starts playing a cheerful "Feel Better Soon" song for Aldrin.
Please make a performance check.
Oh no!
This had better be the best goddamn performance check in the whole world.
It was a nat 16, so it's a 16.
It's not dog shit. I think what I've just arbitrarily decided is the number that turns up on the die is the age which you would guess the performer to be.
Okay.
See, I was like grade 8, so
Yeah, well, but not like a good performer,
Oh, okay.
like an okay performer.
Typical performer.
Less like I am very into music and I am very skilled and I've been going to my music lessons and practicing carefully. More like I am generic 16-year-old. I don't hugely care about music. My parents are making me do this.
Plays
not the-
Vivaldi in the school orchestra type.
Yeah.
So not the nerdy version. Okay.
No,
So-
not the I actually like music.
Aldrin is just quietly singing along. 3 blind beholders. 3 blind beholders. See how they fall. Yeah.
See, you're feeling better. Yes.
As you play, who's got the highest passive wisdom of you?
Not me.
Definitely not me.
That would be me.
So despite Tin being the main survival expert, Aldrin, as Cecil starts playing, there's just a cloud of crows rises out as you basically spook all of the birds in the area out. And this cawing and crying extends, and then you hear over the ruin, which now is but a few, you're getting really close. It's starting to loom over you, this ancient, vine-clad, mossy, stinking mess that lies in a huge pool of water. And as you sort of reach the edge and you sort of break through, you get through this break of plants, you see there is now it would have been almost mill pond calm, but now this flurry of birds that have erupted out of the woods behind you and flying over this sort of mere, from which rises a mound and this ancient, mouldering, crumbling manor house. You see the cries of the crows are passed on to the ones in that building, and soon, like a black cloud, this great sort of flock of birds rises up, cawing and crying.
I assume we all notice this. Or
I think you would all notice this, but I think Aldrin would be the one who would be the most like, this isn't just because we're coming through here, this is the violin that's done this.
I'm presuming that this doesn't seem to be a good reaction. Like these aren't the birds from Snow White that are going to bring us fresh water and muffins.
I mean, you can make a survival check. Or a nature check.
You want a nature check?
Yeah, nature check.
Okay, that is a 15.
15. No, this is probably not a good thing, Aldrin. This is probably not a good thing. The heavily telegraphed, tropish, creepy crows surrounding the mouldering ruin are probably not a good thing.
Many spies have many eyes. So I'll just make a move to grab for Cecil's violin. Like, stop.
You
playing.
do what now?
Stop playing.
This is going to be our downfall. Violin politics.
The birds are getting irate, and we just announced our presence to anything in the area. Can you please stop playing? We need to hide now.
I think that's exactly what I said would happen, isn't it, darlings?
Well, you seem to be enjoying it, but if you just go be able, you fine.
Look, everybody, we need to hide now. Get down. I do not like the look of that ominous mound of crows. They are not going to bring us muffins and tea, okay? Now, I'll cast Pass Without Trace.
Okay. What does casting Pass Without Trace look like from you?
Casting Pass Without Trace is essentially drawing all of the shadows from the nearby terrain in onto myself, and then having it spread out like a sort of an aura over the party, so they just start shimmering and shifting. And from one angle they're not there, from the other they are, but you can't. It's like seeing something forever out of the corner of your eye. It's not.
Oh, that's some powerful flavor. Love it. Exquisite. So you all now have +10 to all of your stealth rolls, but you're going to need to make them with disadvantage because you have spooked the birds. So can everybody please make a stealth check with disadvantage?
Disadvantage, but +10.
Yeah, it's a weird one.
Okay.
28.
16.
18.
So that was +10.
34.
35.
Oh,
Nice.
Jesus Christ.
truly the gods have abandoned us.
I'm not going to remind Justin of his ability to fuck with me.
No, I'll save it for the shit that matters.
I thought you might. I'm just trying to get you to burn them now.
Cheers. What is your stealth modifier?
+8.
Wow.
Massive. So Tin, you got 18. Was it 16? So you got 16 and Trey got 18.
You rolled 17 with disadvantage?
Frosty got 28, Cecil got 34, Aldrin got 35. So I think I like the idea that Tin's way of hiding is just to freeze. But because she's so covered in mud and filth from hacking through all the stuff, and she's like got bits of wood stuck to her face, she's actually just inadvertently camouflaged. And so her freezing.
She's doing this as well.
It's actually quite an effective way. Bizarrely, it's quite an effective way of hiding. I think Trey being a shadow monk and on an 18, I think that Trey they just fairly successfully. I mean, maybe because of the fact that they don't need to breathe, they can just sort of go into the water. So we just get a little dome with their kind of funky metal mohawk.
Yes, I love it.
Yeah, there's a little like spiky metal mohawk on the mini. It's great.
And you just hear
just kind of
do as I move around.
which ruins this. That's why it's an 18 rather than a 20.
John Williams exists in this.
Yeah, exactly.
Bard of many levels.
Everyone has a nosebleed. Then, yeah, I think Frosty, Cecil, and Aldrin are all experienced stealthers and just sort of shift into the shadows perfectly.
If you'll allow, Justin, I just for flavor, use the ability of my armor to change it to perfectly match the surroundings. So it's like looking through it.
Ooh. I think with Pass Without Trace, I'm going to allow that as an emergent thing with Glamored Armor and Pass Without Trace together. You basically sort of end up getting some sweet Predator-style adaptive camouflage.
That has never worked as well before.
I think Cecil is flustered from having made such a ridiculous mistake because Trey flattered his vanity and is going to just jump into the bog. He's just going to find a ditch, jump in.
There's a splotch. It's horrid, and you feel things moving against your leg. As you all look out, the cawing and yelling of the crows slowly quiets down as they sort of over a short period of time, cease their panic and go and return to their roost or sort of peck about. But what you see is over this very, very calm. The wind has dropped almost entirely, as has the rain. So it's now utterly still and bitterly cold. This mill pond calm, broad pool that you can see has a sort of oily film. You know when you see like water in a bog and it's got the kind of swirly, reflective, sort of multicolored effect on the top of it? It's very much that kind of thing. As you're waiting, you see for a long time, then suddenly there's a boom, and a bunch of bubbles rise to the surface. And then there's a small
close to us? How far?
About maybe 120 feet away from you, about halfway across this small lake. So it's basically lake building. So you've got about 240 feet of lake, and then you've got this building. And the lake extends most of the way around this building. And there's a boom, big bubble comes out the pool. And then there's a curious sort of shift. And it's like something comes very close to the surface of the water and then subsides back. And there's a ripple as ripples kind of come towards you.
I want to be very slowly, stealthily moving, so we're not all in like one spot.
Mm-hmm. So you move over to one side so that the
probably
party is
quarter
sort of
speed because it's difficult terrain and stealthing.
It's very slow. So you've Ferocity very, very slowly just inveigles her way through these plants and manages to move so that the party is not in one nice, easily targetable blob. Is there anything else anyone would like to do?
Can Tin hear this? Because I've literally just said she's doing this.
I think,
which is very stupid.
I think she would hear the sound of lapping water. The other thing is that being aware that the water, because you're all ankle to thigh deep in water and have been for some time now. You would probably feel water you would, being aware of this thing is completely calm and there's no wind. You'd feel some waves lapping into you.
Okay, so she's kind of now looking, and then she just kind of picks up her 2 hand axes and is ready.
Ferocity would like to, from her new position, just get a piton out of her pouch and try and throw it into the lake, but at a different angle.
Okay. Can you please make 2 things from you? One is I'd like a stealth roll to see whether you can maintain your stealth. We'll fluff that as being your cunning action. And the other one is I'd like you to make an attack roll with an improvised weapon.
How do I do an attack roll with it? It's 26 on the stealth.
Very good. Attack roll with an improvised weapon is, I think does she have proficiency with improvised weapons?
No.
So what that will be then is a roll, a straight d20 roll and add your strength modifier. You don't get proficiency in the attack roll.
That's good because I have fantastic strength. 17.
Hey, so it doesn't land worryingly close to you. You do manage to get a good bit of distance on it in an interesting direction, and it sort of goes.
Actually, you know what it was? It was the empty bottle of wine for the first one she's thrown.
Hurls, yeah, she's got experience with hurling empty bottles of wine.
Does this seem like a good idea to Aldrin, noticing this?
What's his passive wisdom?
28.
Yes, you've said that. I mean, so it really depends on what happens. Disturbing the mysterious lake that's clearly filled with abominations is probably not the best idea in the world, but then they've already been disturbed by the birds, so if you can do something to draw them further away from you and clear a passage through this swamp, then maybe that wouldn't be a bad thing.
Aldrin is just going to load his heavy crossbow and stand ready, and not move his legs at all if he can, because disturbing the water seems like a bad idea. So just slowly sort of hooking the shield and I should have oiled this.
There is a moment of quiet as the wine bottle sort of and disappears beneath the surface. And there's a moment of quiet and stillness. And then you see 3 wakes moving towards where the wine bottle was. They're not very fast, but they seem to be quite big.
So sorry, what's a wake?
A wake, as in like, the wake of a boat.
Oh, fine, yes. I thought it was some monster I'd never heard of.
Oh yeah, wake, yeah. CR37. As these sort of, like something very large moving under the surface of the water, very slowly sort of rumbles towards. And as they do this, occasionally you see little kind of, you just see something break the surface and then go back under. And for as far as you can tell, it looks like patches of moss or twigs or a branch that sticks out of the water and then goes back underneath. As then these 3 things sort of congregate on the bottle, and there's a sudden fountain of water comes up, and there's a seemingly sort of curious sort of, and then all becomes still.
This is not a good situation.
I have an idea. I have 1,000 ball bearings. We could throw them and then move while they're distracted by the ball bearings, like one at a time, like breadcrumbs.
That is not a bad idea, Cecil, with one small caveat, is that as soon as we move, we are going to create a bigger disturbance than any ball bearing, and there is a strong likelihood of them moving in our direction. I got an idea. Why don't you throw the ball bearings and go first, and we'll see what happens. And if you're fine, we'll know it's safe.
Yes, of course.
I was not actually being fine.
You're now my priest, aren't you? You wouldn't willingly lead me into danger.
As I will be behind you, I will not be leading you into danger. Are you sure, though? They do seem rather large.
Aldrin.
Yes. Yes.
Ball bearings?
I mean, let's give it a go.
What would Tin and Trey be doing during this?
These people are all smarter than Tin, and she just lets them get on with it.
Is she going to be readying anything? Is she watching? Is she
just still holding axes, ready to move if necessary? Just watching what happens.
Waiting, commiserating. Trey.
Are there many shadows around this kind of swampy area?
Yeah, so it's that curious thing where when you're in fog that there doesn't seem to be any shadow because, I mean, the mist is kind of shredding over this this mere. But it's that curious thing where you can there are darker patches, but because of the diffuse light, it's not like there's any really defined shadows. But yeah, this mere is entirely surrounded by trees and twisted undergrowth, so you could very easily find a dark place to inveigle your way into.
Can I please ready Shadow Step in case Cecil gets in some trouble?
Of course you can.
Yes.
Someone wants to keep him alive. Oh,
that's rare for Cecil.
Yeah, Tin, but Tin is too stupid to know that this might not be safe.
How far are we from, is there anywhere that looks like dry land that isn't in the water? Or is the ruin the closest thing to relative safety? But the ruin's also in the water, right? Where would we be trying to get to? Is my point.
So broadly, what you can see is there is a lake, and you are on the south shore of the lake. All the way around this lake, right the way around, is this thick undergrowth. Now, there is an island on which this sort of thing is located, which looks like it's slightly nearer to the north end of the lake. So you've got a wider patch of the lake to cross here, which is about 240 feet.
Okay.
This is the mound sort of thing, entrance to the dungeon, we think.
Yes, you think
Right.
so. Sorry, it's about 60 meters.
240
60 yards.
feet. Okay.
So you've got this island in. It's quite a broad lake. It's a moderately large island, but it's slightly close to the north, so it's about 240 feet. And then, sort of extending into the water, are the sort of outer walls of this manor or this old building that sort of disappear into the lake. But then in the midst, it looks like an old motte, the old kind of mound of a castle, rises out, upon which more of the ruins are located. So the sort of ruin extends into the lake, but there is dry ground in the middle of the ruin.
Ferocity is 100% getting away from the shore of the lake, very slowly, keeping stealth.
Very good. You move back into the shadows.
She's cursing the fact that she bought a box of crossbow bolts, but no crossbow.
I'll buy one when I get there.
What speed would we estimate the lake dwellers to be having moved at from how quickly we saw them converge?
Please make a perception check.
Okie dokie.
Could I also do that?
Yeah, sure thing. Well, or you can help Aldrin and give him advantage.
I'll help Aldrin.
Yeah.
Cool, that's a 22.
22. That's good enough to realise that they were moving about 20 feet per round.
Cecil, you have given me an idea. If you could give me that bag of the ball bearings and cut a hole in it with your dagger, which you do mighty skillful, I can tie it to one of these here crossbow bolts, and I can launch it a considerable distance, which may give us the opportunity to distract these creatures long enough to make it to the relative safety of those there ominous-looking ruins. It's just an idea, but I thought I would float it to the group.
Yay, floating. Well, actually, all this talk of crossbows has reminded me, I have this, and I pull out a short bow from my backpack. I never use it. I prefer getting my hands dirty, but do have a ranged weapon with me.
What is the range on that there short bow? You don't look mighty strong to me.
It says 80, so I'm assuming that's 80 feet.
That's short range. I think it's 80 and then 80 times 3.
320. It says 80 to 320.
Yeah, so 320 is the maximum range, 80 is the beginning of short range.
Great.
Well, perhaps then, Cecil, if we could divide into two the little packages, because this here crossbow, Thumbelina, it does shoot up to a range of 400 feet, which is, I'll be honest with you, I haven't used it that much since I trained back in AM, but it could offer us the opportunity to create a distraction for these things, and even if they do come after us, to at least separate them so that we can take them one at a time.
So we shoot two opposite sides of the lake, split them up, our friends run through in the middle, and then we run screaming afterwards.
Absolutely, Cecil. And should the midden hit the windmill, I will do what I can for Mask to help you in this situation. And I will use
what?
The midden hit the windmill because we do not have fans. So yeah,
I think the stream does, but
well, yeah, hopefully.
But not the lake.
Speak for yourself, darling.
We'll
I've
appreciate
got many fans.
the
I
shit
have like
hits
hand
the fan.
fans, like ones
Yeah,
that
if
go
a
like
shit
that.
hits a hand fan, it really is not going to spread much.
Although, Trey, that's a really good idea for you.
That's true. I just use Blessing of the Trickster, I think it's called, to give Cecil advantage on stealth rolls. It may not come up, but it's something I can do.
Massive.
I'll take it. Thank you.
That's a big boy. And with plus 10, that's disgusting. Horrid.
We have ourselves a plan, I believe.
You're going to be fine. You wouldn't lie to me. It's all okay.
So you're going to lure them away using ball bearings, and then you're going to basically charge across the lake.
I'd shoot at them. We're just going to shoot at them, not Trey.
I mean, we can shoot at them as we charge across, or we can... I would suggest that getting them across in the swiftest fashion possible would be advantageous to our general situation. I just noticed ferocity having backed away. All right.
But we are tying the ball bearings to the arrows and shooting them. It's not just...
Yes, that would be my suggestion. I would say if we manage to pierce a hole in the bottom of the bag, it will give a trail of ball bearings that will lead them, and also an almighty splash when the arrow and the bolt do hit the water. In any event, it should distract them from our general proximity. That is the plan. In the event that it does not happen, I'll just lead into whisper to Cecil, I do have a way to get you and I to safety.
Okay.
Trey, may I take you up on that previous offer?
Of course you can.
Frosty just materializes back out of the bushes.
Does this mean if Trey shadow steps, Frosty just...
I'm not going to warn you about it. It's just going to happen if it happens.
Just windmilling her, doing that thing like they do in Looney Tunes where they're just in the air.
I would like to see that.
Okay, Trey, can you please make a strength athletics check?
Oh, yes, I can. I'm good at these. That is a 19.
19.
Oh
Good.
God.
Congrats. Yeah, you easily managed to hoist Frosty up on your back, and it's absolutely no sweat from you. Excellent. Right, so can we have 2 ranged attack rolls just to basically see how far away, whether they land at the intended point? Mm-hmm. So it's not going to be, so if we can have those with disadvantage because you're going to be shooting at long range. Yep. But what we're going to be doing, I basically, instead of having an armor class, I'm going to be setting a DC in my head, and we're going to have grades of success to see how close to the point you wanted to get. So it's essentially how far away these things will be attracted.
Ideal scenario is we get a lovely graceful arc of ball bearings falling out of bags and then a big splop at the end.
A big one.
Big splop.
Big splop.
I got
Sloppy boy.
18.
An 18. Lovely.
So the first roll was lovely. The second roll is less lovely, but it is a 15.
Okay, yeah, that's fine for the DC. You're essentially just trying to launch it in the air. It's basically just whether you balk the roll and it goes too close. So 2 arrows, an arrow and a bolt, sort of... And again, there's that moment of silence, and then these ripples start to move towards, and you see that there's more than 3. Like, this is a big lake, and there's a fair few things spread, and you just see a whole bunch of these things starting to congregate in the direction where these plops happened. Would we like to run?
Yes.
Okay then, so can everybody please make strength athletics checks? We're going to see how quickly you can run across this lake.
Oh, I'm good at this.
You want me to? Because I'm just holding up.
No, you can just sort of mush Trey. Hold a fun smell in front on a fishing rod in front of their nose.
Does that technically count as helping?
I mean,
the thing is that the helping will be counteracted by having to carry her weight.
Yeah.
No fun allowed.
Cecil's gonna keep an eye on Aldrin, who is wounded, and if he is falling behind, Cecil will lend a hand.
Very good.
Just as well.
So this is you are going to be waist. So it turns out that this lake is not particularly deep. You are waist deep in water. You have 240 feet to cover. You will be at half speed because it is difficult terrain, which means just a moment. So it would take, at a 30-foot pace of movement, dashing every turn, it's going to take 6 turns to get to the other side of the lake.
That's 36 seconds. That's fine. We'll be fine.
You're all dead.
Let me just check a thing. I need to check how many times you can...
This is classic party tactics, because we could have gone around to the other side where it was a short bit.
But there was a bridge.
We were like,
What is everybody's constitution modifier?
oh.
+2.
+4.
+6.
This is where I'm
Holy
not great.
shit.
It's a +2.
So,
Oh no! Shit. Sorry, that's my saving throw modifier.
thank
+3.
goodness.
That was a lie. +3.
so 10, you're on +3. Cecil,
+2.
+2. Aldrin,
+2.
Trey.
4.
Holy shit. And Frosty.
+2.
Okay. So you can all use the dash action a number of times equal to 3 plus your con modifier. So Tin, you can do it enough times to get across the lake, as can Trey, but Cecil, Aldrin, and Ferocity, you are all in the final turn going to
Remind
need
you,
to make...
I am not taking any action.
You are not taking any actions at all, so you're
And
fine.
also, I can move 45 feet per thing, so I am quick.
Mugs!
So you will get there. How many times does 45 fit into 240?
I picked the right horse.
Trey is a horse now, confirmed.
Trey is horse. It's still going to take you 5 turns, but you'll have some peace and quiet when you get to the other side, I think. Wait, no, it will take you 5 turns rather than 6. So you will do it in 5 turns. Everyone else will do it in 6. So Trey is just going to. Everyone else. So Aldrin,
like thighs.
Aldrin and Cecil, you are going to need to make a Constitution saving throw on the final one to see whether first you gain a level of exhaustion and secondly whether you slow down.
Does it change anything that I'm a rogue so I can take the dash action an extra
Indeed,
time?
it does. That means that you're going to be able to do it. But again, it's the number of times you use the dash action. You'll be able to do it incredibly fast, but you'll run the risk of exhausting yourself.
That's fine. I will make a con check.
So just Cecil, zoom, and then just Aldrin like behind, like like Uta in The Simpsons with oh no.
It works. The monsters aren't attacking us.
So.
I feel like we're skipping ahead.
I'm not rolling well, I'll tell you that much.
So essentially, the monsters move away to these things and you start running. And as you start running, you see, as this sort of mound, and you see this occasional sort of string thing, that you see an arm that looks like it's made of a mixture of white vines and branches and mud and body parts erupts out of the water and smashes down. And then as you get about halfway across, sort of frantically sprinting, you see these wakes are starting to come towards you. Now you're moving fast enough, if you manage to maintain your pace, not to be caught, because these things are dashing as well and they aren't slowed by the water. Tin, you don't need to make any checks. After 6 rounds of frantic sprinting, you get to the other side, and just as your stamina's about to give out, you flop exhausted onto the mound. Trey, you don't even feel like your stamina's about to give out. You just sort of plow through the water at a terrifying rate and get to the other side. Cecil, are you going to be cunning actioning, or are you going to be just maintaining the dash?
Are you helping Aldrin, basically?
Well, yeah, I have.
My athletics roll was a 7.
Aldrin has committed himself to my well-being and my spiritual direction, and I couldn't possibly abandon him, so I should stay and help him.
Okay, so what was your Constitution saving throw?
Oh, yes.
You don't need to make one because I'm going to do something.
I rolled a 19, so 21.
You rolled a 19. Okay, Aldrin. So having done that, you're running, and the pain and the tiredness and the exhaustion and everything are just overwhelming you. And you also haven't sort of run through hip-high water for a while. It's not something you do regularly. It's exhausting.
Yep.
And you're kind of plowing forward, and there's vines and there's all kinds of nastiness whipping at your ankles, and you're catching on things. And as you're about 30 foot away from the side, you really start to get tired. You've gained a level of exhaustion.
Can I stop you there, Justin? Because that wouldn't happen. And here's why. As soon as I started to feel like, basically off the terrible roll that I made, I am making slow progress going across this lake. If Cecil's with me, like whilst the others are charging ahead, it's just, fuck this for a game of soldiers. And I will cast Dimension Door.
Massive!
Is there nothing he can't do?
Form meaningful relationships. What does your Dimension Door look like?
It's essentially this beam of light that just slashes down in front of Cecil and I, and it's like a 2D image that then flips sideways, and you see that there's a door that links between where we're standing and where we're going, which is this relative safety of the island. And just say to Cecil, after you, if you would please, and just step through together.
And so the others sort of, the two of them appear next to you. And as they appear next to you, you just see a fountain of water as 6 shambling mounds all crash together where once you were and half engulf one another. The waters subside, and after a while, things are quiet once more. You find yourselves on an island in the middle of this lake. You are surrounded by crumbling, falling walls with a particularly... This is an old ruin. This is an old style of architecture from a long way back. But it's covered in vines and moss and creepers, and it's just like, it seems to be covered in mold as well. There's this thick kind of brown moldish substance that seems to be climbing up out of the swamp. And the bricks, you've never seen stone rot, but if stone rotted, it would look like this. Now, looking up, you can see that while much of this mound is covered in sort of ruins and bushes and shrubs and all that kind of thing, down, sort of moving round it, sort of on the far side of a particularly sort of one of the taller walls that sort of overhangs, it looks like it may once have been sort of side of a great hall or something like that, you can see that there seems to be a particularly thick block of underbrush that seems to be inside this sort of almost cave-like opening. What would people like to do?
I would suggest it took y'all a long time to get here. Would everyone find it a good idea that we search these here surroundings and see if there's any secret doors or other ways to permit ingress or egress? And I do believe I heard a dire wolf in the distance, so we should probably watch out on that whole situation.
Yeah, it's very good. Does anyone know about opening secret doors, levies?
I have some experience, but I also just want to say that last night I gave my life to Mask, and he just saved me on the middle of a lake. Like that, yeah. I'm a little bit shaken, yeah.
Mask is a god of thieves, yes? And friends.
Thieves, trickery, intrigue.
Oh no. You see Trey just looking at Cecil with genuine concern.
Mask looks after Mask's friends, and I consider all y'all friends of mine, but Cecil, in pledging themselves to the church and the creed of Mask, has of course come in for some special treatment. Now, that is available to all y'all. As I have said, I would just ask you to continue to consider the possibilities of all of the benefits that might be yours.
Darling, don't be a bore, Aldrin. Come on, lovey. We've all got our deities or not. You know, it's not that time. It's find a secret door time. Okay,
I hear
darling.
what you're saying, Ferocity, and I respect it. I'm simply saying that the option is always there. That's all.
Shall we find a way in?
Yes, let's go look for some secret doors.
Let's check this situation.
Please, can whoever is doing the primary searching roll investigation, and can the secondary person who is doing that can give them advantage by using the help action? Who is going to be searching? Who is going to be helping them? How are they going to be searching? How are they going to be helping them?
With the best will in the world, Tin would be a liability at this action, so I think she's just kind of going to stand there looking chunky.
I won't be assisting with the investigation, but whilst people are investigating, can I cast Detect Magic as a ritual, please?
Yes, you may.
Thank you.
Can I suggest Cecil wants to take point on the investigating? He is an expert at investigating.
Very good. Who would like to assist Cecil?
Trey would like to stand next to Tin and look also chunky.
I thought Aldrin was helping.
I thought Aldrin, you said
so.
you was...
Casting Detect Magic as a ritual.
Oh, okay.
You're good at finding things for us. Why don't you help Cecil here? Because some of those things you find might not necessarily be yours.
I'm fabulous at dancing, but I can give it a go.
Just one of us.
I'm definitely just standing back and say, look behind that bush. No, that one.
What about you missed the spot? You missed a bit. No, there's one right there. There's one right there. Go didn't see. I've looked. Wonderful. By the way, Tin, you were the one whose water skin ran out. So you must now. It's been a while since you've had good fresh water. Everyone else is going to need to make this check at the end of the day, but right now, unfortunately, you must make a DC 15 Constitution saving throw.
Okay. That's a 17.
You do not suffer a level of exhaustion. You're just like, oh, I haven't drunk water in a while. Got a bit of a headache.
Clacky mouth.
Yeah. Cucky mouth.
Clacky. Like...
Oh, clucky. I think it said cucky. I was like...
Speaking of R, just quickly, because anyone in the chat that's not aware, when you cast a spell using a ritual, it basically means certain classes can cast spells with an extra 10-minute timer, but what it means is it doesn't take up a spell slot. Yeah, so basically by spending time, you free up the amount of magical power you have per day. So you are doing that. What were your investigation rolls?
I haven't rolled. I was
slave to the bit.
I was enjoying the role play, Justin.
Yeah.
It was a nat 18 for a 27.
Not role play without rolls. Remember that you have advantage.
Yes. Nat 18 for 27.
Very good. I just assumed because you said nat 18. I'm an idiot. So on an 18, I think it isn't too hard to find that this big sort of overhang overgrown heavily with plants and with just general muck and detritus and stuff, that this looks like the entrance into some kind of underground complex. And indeed, it looks like it might be the entrance into some sort of cellars, but it's curious that it's not full of water. It's slightly strange. But nonetheless, you see that this kind of these plants and these sort of ruined walls seem to be hiding some sort of tunnel. And you can just about make out a curious large, sort of can't really see it through the plants, curious large metallic shape part the way in, and there's a dreadful smell coming out of this tunnel.
Oh, Trey!
Yes?
I have a present for you.
What is it? It's not my birthday.
Good. Come here, please.
I go over.
Be a horrible way to spend your birthday.
Please, Trey, make a perception check.
Yes, I am not good at these. That is 12.
12. You can't really distinguish what the smells are, but the smell is overwhelming. It's massive, like it's complex, and it is incredibly visceral. This is a cocktail of all of the bad smells taken together and dialed up to 11. It's like, it's the equivalent of like taking a shot of like 78% alcohol for a hardened drinker. It's big. It's big.
Oh my god. This is the best present I've ever had. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And over that period, as you're investigating that, as you see this kind of curious shape, and this curious looks like it might be made out of bronze, but it's all a bit verdigreed, kind of big shape in it. Aldrin, what would you like to do? You've already just said you are detecting magic. As a result of the detect magic, there have been no explicit spells cast here or laid down. What you get is a curious kind of background radiation of magic emanating from this, especially the pool of water and underneath this building. It's sort of, there's no particular, it's not any particular school of magic. It's not like magic has been cast. It's just that it's like an area of magical potential that sort of thrums in your awareness.
There's a little bit of a tingle. All right. Just like to go over and look down the stairs that everyone's standing around and just see what we've seen.
Again, the entryway is covered in, and it's especially. Can you make a nature check, please?
Possibly.
Or if anyone else would like to make a nature check on what's.
Ooh, that's a flat 17.
Flat 17.
Where I used to live.
A copper coronet, flat 17.
This entryway is, as I said, covered in these vines and these plants. But these vines, they look a little bit like ivy, but the leaves are a bit curious and look quite stiff and actually quite sharp.
Huh.
Are we going to try and go into the entranceway?
What are you hawing about, lovey?
These vines look like the sort of thing that might cause injury to a person should they not be able to navigate them in a particular way. Might be that we should try fire or some other means of securing our ingress into this here ruin.
Do they look like false leaves, as in they're a trap made to look like a vine, or do they just look like a nasty plant?
Yeah, they look mechanical.
Ooh, I wonder what you'd roll. I think that's going to be survival. Please roll survival for ferocity.
That's face.
8, darling. I'm not a outdoorsy type.
It's a plant.
If you call Tin, oh, hold on, Tin, I don't think he's going to be of much help.
I'm happy to
No,
hear
her
it.
survival's not bad.
Frosty, it's a plant. Like, you don't really give a shit. I think it's the kind of thing where you're looking at it and you're like, I don't know, like, it's a plant. You're a city girl.
Shitty girl.
Shitty girl. Nice.
Can Trey take a gander?
Absolutely. Trey can take a gander. I will only allow 2 rolls for each thing, so we don't have the sort of the party conga line.
I got 18.
18. On a survival check, it looks like these are plants. They're natural. They aren't an illusion. But exactly as Aldrin identified, it looks like these leaves are stiff and razor sharp.
Okay. These plants, they are real plants, not fake or mechanical as initially suspected, but they are incredibly sharp and will pierce your skintanium armor.
I'm sorry. I'm giving inspiration to Skintanium. That is too. That is too good. You've got you have advantage. I mean, not advantage. Inspiration. Inspiration is a mechanic whereby the DM can essentially arbitrarily reward things that they like. That's the way I play it. It's actually meant to be for when characters play against their play up their flaws or make sort of decisions in character that aren't sort of mechanically ideal. But I also just tend to award it for good bits, and that was a good bit. Skintanium is very good. That's a really nice bit. Aldrin, you've been flirting with inspiration for some time now with your spell descriptions.
Inspiration
The
is
rest of us are just shit players.
Inspiration is a capricious mistress. You never know.
It is. Oh, it's all utterly arbitrary. You've all done wonderful things. I just sort of picked a moment out of the hat to showcase the mechanic.
No troubles. Can we see past? Can we see past the plants, or are they completely obscuring?
They're very thick. They're not completely obscuring. It's hard to see past them, but you can just about see past them.
If y'all would like, I would suggest either that we try to remove these plants by reason of our combative abilities, or if you would like me to put this here canary down the mine shaft, I can see how far this rabbit hole goes, assuming it goes up to a distance of 120 feet.
Cecil is really worried, given previous events, that he's the canary.
That's what Ferosti's assuming.
Yeah.
There are certain abilities granted to me by Mask that would allow me to project myself in such a way as we could see whether or not I was attacked by anything nasty, which would give us the opportunity potentially to see if trying to remove these here plants would invoke the wrath of certain denizens or dungeon crawlies, such as we might find. If you would like me to do so, I can. Otherwise, I'm open to any and all suggestions that y'all have.
I think it sounds sensible.
Justin, am I right? There's no, if we all roll really highly, we can wiggle our way past the spikes. Is it Sleeping Beauty level of...
Yes, you can, with a suitably high dexterity saving throw, make your way past this this patch of vines with razor leaves.
I give him a poke with a pole.
Do you have a pole?
I have a 10-foot pole.
What?
A poking pole.
You've had a 10-foot pole this whole time.
You could have just pole vaulted the lake.
Oh, so
Your height.
So how do you just out of curiosity? How do you is that like one that folds out, or that screws together?
I
or
guess that's what the party would assume, that it's a sort of fold out pole, because I haven't been carrying it, but I do just whip out a 10-foot pole and give the vines a poke.
Fair enough, yeah.
Have a fiddle in your bag of holding. Hold on, wait.
Oh yeah, you've got a bag of holding,
yeah.
don't you? Yeah, so it can just be in there. Oh my god, that's such a good moment of just.
I love that Frosty has a bag of holding and yet no rations.
But you literally does have a fiddle in your bag of holding.
Amongst other things.
Amongst other things. Yes, I love that is one of my favourite moments in the whole thing, of just put Mary Poppinsing out.
Telescopic darlings.
Yeah, telescopic darlings. Yes, you pull out your 10-foot pole. What would you like to do with your 10-foot pole?
Just give the vines a poke.
Give the vines a poke. You kind of poke in and you see that the 10-foot pole, it does get scratched, even just slight contact with these leaves makes some small scratches on this pole, but it's otherwise absolutely fine.
So they don't move.
They do not seem to constrict or attack you or anything like that. It seems to be simply a plant with razor sharp leaves.
Can I try and clear the way a bit with the pole, or?
Yeah, sure. Can you make? Wonder what that would be. Let's make another attack roll with an improviser weapon.
This is my
backing away from the scary razor plant.
18,
yeah. So I think that you managed to kind of give it a poke, and then can we have I think that's going to be another survival check. So you managed to get sufficient purchase and kind of get some on the end of the pole. Now can you make a survival check?
Yeah, what's this for, may I ask?
So you've successfully prepped to clear the path. Now I'm seeing how successfully you clear the path. So you are
okay.
So it's basically the first one was whether you were going to be able to do it.
3.
Oh no!
You managed to. You basically just poke a hole in it that it would be fine for a bird. You just sort of half-heartedly poke a hole in it, and then you're just like, I can't be bothered. This is going to take ages. It's.
No, I say I've done it.
Christ, I love ferocity. Also, incidentally, audience members, I apologise for saying frosty. I keep on. I need to say ferocity. I need to roll the R, otherwise it just becomes Frosty the Halfling. Ferocity.
Chill touch. Yeah.
My next character might well be Frosty the Halfling, though. I like that.
Frosty the Halfling. Great. Would you like to try and make your way through these vines?
Cecil, sorry, was that for the party or just Frosty?
That was to the party.
Cecil will have seen Frosty's plan, and he's feeling very dexy and would quite like to have a go next, and if he can manage, have a go with his dagger of maybe clearing a slightly wider path.
Okay, please make an attack roll.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20, that's a hit. Please roll damage.
Great. Did I say dagger, or can I use my rapier?
Either.
Great.
You said dagger, but I'm happy to use your rapier.
Thank you very much. That is a 12.
Now,
do I sneak attack these bushes?
Unfortunately, a rapier does piercing damage, and because it's a patch of vines, it is immune to piercing damage.
Oh, for Pete's sake!
You sort of give it a poke and try to kind of. You basically try and poke a hole in the hedge, but it just sort of flops.
Do daggers do slashing damage?
No, they do piercing damage.
What does slashing damage?
Axes.
Swords.
Swords.
I turn to Aldrin and just say, I think we should try your thing.
Well, my thing will give us some level of purchase as to what is exactly happening down there before we attack this thing, although I see that we have attempted to attack it already. But let's just see what the situation is, and if the situation is reasonably safe, then there is maybe one or two things that I can try as the, I believe, only member of the party with some form of ranged or magical ability. But let's see what we're dealing with. And Aldrin will take the cloth off of his shield so that it has the continual flame bursting, and then create an exact illusion of himself by channeling divinity.
Very good.
Picture it coalescing out of shadows. We'll stand at as close to the plant as I can get without touching it, looking down the pathway.
Yep. And
send the illusion down the pathway as far as I can, which should be giving off continual flame as it's a perfect illusion. So that would be I can see a torchlight. So it's essentially it's like chucking a stone down a well.
Yeah. How? What's the range on this?
Up to 120.
So, did sort of projected Aldrin sort of materialize on the other side? And projected Aldrin can see that this curious brass thing is a bell, like a huge brass church bell that looks like it's been slammed down and then pushed in the mouth of this kind of this sort of ruin. And Aldrin goes, projected Aldrin sort of starts marching down, and you see that this looks like a tunnel or an old kind of entranceway into what looked like a cellar underground, maybe a wine cellar or something similar to that. But as it slopes downwards and starts going through ruined rooms, it becomes more and more, less and less kind of built, and the walls become slick with water and mold, and eventually it turns into what looks like a burrowed out passageway. And after 120 feet, projected Aldrin comes to a kind of a dogleg, and there's sort of water lapping at the base of this, and suspects, just craning his head round the corner.
I won't be able to see through its eyes, Justin. I can only use my own senses.
Oh, I thought you could look through its eyes. In which case, yeah, it basically goes down to, it keeps on sort of going down and eventually disappears out of view around a corner.
Yeah. Okay, so that wasn't attacked. So I presume that we are reasonably free to take some action against this here plant. Does the bell look like it could give off sound from what we can see?
Yeah, it looks like if you hit it, like it's currently on the ground, it's not hanging, so you'd need to hit it quite hard to get a good noise because the ground would muffle it. It is, if you struck it, it would make a noise.
Cool. I'd like to cast Sacred Flame on the plant without not hitting the bell.
Okay, please make an attack roll. Oh no, it's a dexterity saving throw, isn't it? So it automatically fails because it is a plant. Please roll damage.
Cool. Bear with me 1 second, because my Beyond is doing a funny thing. 2d8.
Not one of your puns, then.
I wish. That's 8.
8. So you burn away a patch of this using the radiant power. It sort of shrivels away. What I'm going to say is that because this is a cantrip and because of the amount there is, you can just keep on blasting it with Sacred Flame and eventually it will wither and burn away. And you clear away the patch of Razor Vine that is obscuring the entrance into this lair. When the Razor Vine is finally cleared, all of you are finally hit by the full impact of the stench of... So the first and overwhelming one is the stench of decay and of stagnant standing water, and it's bad. It's just rotting plant matter. Over the top of that, you get, coming seemingly from the bell, you get the smell of rotting flesh. And then over it all, in a very curious, hard to really put your finger on way, there's a faint, acrid, burning, acidic smell that just touches the inside of your nostrils and makes your eyes weep slightly, and it just stings a bit. It's not very severe, but there's just a tint of acid on the wind.
Rusty's getting a candle out and just making some little sort of wax plugs and then just popping them in her nose.
That's a good idea!
Trey has gotten some bottles out and is just there like, I must bottle this.
Would y'all mind if we maybe waited an hour just for this stench to dissipate somewhat and for me to have an opportunity to recover slightly from my previous ordeal and injuries?
I don't know that it's going to dissipate, but yes, if you're poorly, yes.
It cannot hurt.
Great. So we take a short rest. Everybody can restore. We'll just move through that quickly. You take short.
Use hit dice and all that just to get up because I have health missing from before.
David, you rolled 16 on your hit dice, right? So
yep.
you're back up to spice. And we go down into the passageway. So using the continual flame as a light, you travel down this passageway, which I described earlier when I didn't realize I couldn't see through the eyes of the illusion. It seemed now the smell, obviously, simply because it can now get out more easily because it's not blocked by this wall of plant, the smell has dissipated slightly. It's notable that the rotting flesh is distinctly coming from the bell. Like the bell seems to be where that stench is coming from. But going past it, as you go down, the smell of the stagnant water and the acid becomes ever stronger. When you reach the kind of bottom into this sump, again, it's strange because really you shouldn't have been able to get down this deep, considering there's a lake above you, without somehow the water level being higher. It's strange that the water level is not higher. You seem to be below ground level, and that should mean you're underwater. So it's odd. The walls are kind of slick and dark and pockmarked and streaked with damp and with mold and just general horror. And you can see here and there the ancient kind of remains. There's no biological matter left in this place that was from its original construction. It's far too old. But you do see sort of what look like they may once have been kind of stone alcoves for wine, maybe. You can see what looks like the ancient remains of some kind of animals' nests, but it's pretty bleak. But as you come to the bottom and come into what seems to be a natural but slightly widened passageway, you come to a dog leg, and there's rippling water at the base that's icy cold. Who would be going first? Because just popping your head around the corner, you can just about make out in the gloom that there is a cave.
I think Tin is totally happy to go first if other people are reluctant.
Trey is very enthusiastic, so is more than happy to go first.
Okay. Well, why don't we let Trey go first? Tin can follow.
Trey, can you please make a stealth check?
Yes, I can.
Shadow monk.
I cannot.
Still got
I rolled.
+10.
No, it's been more than 10 minutes.
Damn it.
It lasts an hour, but we had a short rest.
Yeah, I had a short rest. What did you roll, Trey?
So I got a 4 on the dice, so that is a 9.
Oh, well, I mean, that's actually kind of good for me because it gives me the perfect button for this half, which is as Trey comes around the corner, I think involuntarily they just sort of stop because you see lying on a mound of ancient weapons and armor and riches, you see the gargantuan form of a black dragon with thick, dull black scales. And by gargantuan, I mean the technical size gargantuan. This thing is vast. It is enormous. There is no way this thing is young. And this thing is covered in ancient scars. And as you come in and you stop and pause and stare, a eye flickers open in its skull-like cadaverous face, and a hideous acid green eye fixes you, and in a low rumbling voice you hear, "Oh no, not again." And that's where we're going to leave this half. We're going to have a little 5-minute break. And yes, we will see you in 5 to 10 minutes. Hello again, welcome back. The dragon has just been met, and it was not a young black dragon. Surprising, approximately nobody. Trey has just been spotted, and this thing, it's because sort of black dragons famously sort of cadaverous heads. It looks like it's sort of, even though this isn't what has happened, it looks almost as if the flesh has necrotized away, leaving this sort of stretched, skull-like face with awful bony openings and spiraling horns, and it turns towards you, and its neck snakes out towards you. And as I
Justin,
said, yes.
sorry to interrupt. Are you saying it looks like a Dracolich?
No, it doesn't look like a Dracolich.
Okay.
Just no, it's not a. Don't worry, it's not a Dracolich. Just fluff-wise, black dragons apparently become more skull-like. The older they are, they sort of have a nasty sort of ugly vibe.
This dragon,
And its head snakes towards you, and as I said, the first thing it says is, "Oh, not again." And in a voice that shakes, it's more like, "Oh, not again," but that's hard to do for a long period. Shakes the room.
Hello.
I'm glad I wore brown underwear. That's all I'm saying.
So only Trey is visible. The others of you are all round the corner.
I'd quite like to try and poke just my eyes out, just so I can see.
Yeah. Okay.
I kind of want to look as well. We can do a comedy duo.
Yeah.
Trio, please. I want to look.
I am hanging back.
I would like to wave awkwardly and just say, hello, how are you today? Nice weather we're having.
I was much better before I was disturbed again in my lair. Why can't people leave me alone? All the time. Right, out. All of you, out. You three, I can see you. Short one, middle one, tall one, out. Out you come.
Hello.
How would you respond?
Yeah, I'm
Hello.
doing what it says.
Yeah.
Feels like we're in trouble with a head teacher.
Yeah. Cecil's having serious being called to see the father vibes.
And sort of looks at you and, are you sure that's all of you?
2, 3. No, we've got another one.
Where are they?
Magnificent one, and I'm profligating myself in the deepest bow, which is really easy for a halfling as well.
You are in water, so you like go. You basically just submerge yourself.
It's more of a like bend at the waist
Yeah.
thing and sort of not getting my head.
Lovely. And what do you say?
Oh, ferociously mighty one! It is our honor to be in the presence of such a grand dragon such as yourself. How can we serve you?
Please make a persuasion roll.
$17.
17. Well, at least one of you knows how to behave.
Yes. A little fist pump under the water.
Look, where is the other one?
The other one is busy casting 2 spells. The first of those spells is Tongues, and the second of those spells is Eagle Splendor.
Oh.
Lovely. Look, the tongue kind of. Look, I know you're casting spells. Don't make me melt you.
Stepping out, speaking in Draconic. The only reason I was casting spells was to better prepare myself to converse with your magnificence in such a way as to adequately show my respect for your voluminous power, my lord, my lady, my powerful draconic liege. What would you prefer?
Just a moment, just looking up a note. Look, can you roll persuasion, please, with all the requisite modifiers?
Yes.
Is the entire cavern in water, Justin?
There's sort of various mounds. It's largely actually sort of mounds of just rubbish and rubble. So it looks like this is a cavern. So just to describe the cavern, looks like a natural cavern that has been sort of partially enhanced by the previous sort of occupants. So there are sort of pillars of stone, and there's some areas where they seem to have built like sections that are paved, but much of it is now underwater. There's lots of piles of stone and stuff. If you wanted to be on dry land, you could. And most notably, the driest area is where this dragon sits curled up on. Can you all please make perception rolls?
Yeah, but it will be bad.
Do you want that persuasion check result, Justin?
Yes, I would.
That's a 26.
Oh, nice.
10 perception.
7.
13.
30.
Dirty 20.
Dirty 20.
Also 7.
7.
Everyone's bad, but
I mean, you're all just like, yeah, that's sort of the running theme, isn't it? Aldrin's
Oh,
the only
sorry.
one with stats.
I forgot I had advantage on perception. I just rolled the second one. That's a natural 20. It's a 28. Sorry.
Everyone's bad.
If it wasn't nice for a little plot bit, then I would so use one of your bad luck die right now. On that, no one else really notices because holy shit, ancient black dragon. But for you, Aldrin, you realise that so ancient is thousands of years. And black dragons, chromatic dragons in general, are famously covetous. This is not a very big or impressive horde. Like, it's largely made of mouldering weapons and armor that are half, rusted away. There's very little gold. There are a handful of chests. There are some statues. But as a general rule, this is kind of an unimpressive horde as these things go. You would expect a being of this power to have a much more impressive pile. Nonetheless, on a 26, which I think it sort of listens and just sort of you don't need to lay it on quite so thick. All Thraximandis or my liege will do fine.
Or Flaximandis.
All Thraximandis.
Oh, Thraximandis. I apologize. It has been so long since I've had the opportunity.
I really don't care. Look,
is this in Draconic or in Common?
Draconic.
Draconic. I just wasn't. I really don't care. Look, are you here for the same thing again?
That would depend entirely upon what that thing was. If it was a painful death at the hands of your magnificence, then no, absolutely not.
What do you mean, painful death?
Well, you are obviously a being of awesome and extreme power and could crush any one of us instantaneously should you so wish.
Oh, but it's so much effort. Why didn't you look with the last lot? Didn't they get back to town?
I would just say to the whisper to the other members of the party. They seem to be extremely angry, but I'm handling the situation.
Is that true? Can we tell if that's true?
Is that true? As Aldrin, basically, is that going to be a persuasion check or a deception check?
That's probably a deception check because I'm endeavouring to convey to the party that I'm more important to this than I actually am.
Very well. Please roll deception, and that will be contested by everybody's passive wisdom scores.
Finey dandy.
Which is not good.
Roll, my pretties, roll. That's only a 24.
Only a 24.
My passive insight is an 8.
Mine's a 10.
Good.
13.
All right. Now, 24, did you say?
Yeah, I did have advantage on this, Justin, so you can take away one of them or both of them as you choose.
It's all good. Can you make a stealth roll, please? Just to see how quietly you say it.
Well, currently, that's a 19.
Hilariously, it has a passive perception of 26. So when you say that, Ulthraximandus says, it just moves very, very close to you, just extends their head, and just says very quiet, like quietly for a dragon, which is still quite loud. But you get the intent of, you do know, I can speak common.
I will use thaumaturgy to make my eyes look like a black dragon's and say, of course.
Please make a performance check with disadvantage.
You're gonna die!
That is a gamble.
That is
right
a bad.
there.
I'm so here for it.
And is this being said in common or
That was said in common.
With disadvantage, I have advantage on charisma checks, so that is a flat roll. That is a 18.
Bad luck, though.
Yeah, I should have seen this coming.
Yeah. You flash your eyes to look like a black dragon's, and Ulthraximandus. I would strongly advise that you do not try to make yourself look like a being far above you in station. I can smell that you do not have draconic ancestry, nor any link, so just don't further embarrass yourself, and don't piss me off.
Are we all hearing that in common?
You are all hearing that in common. And that was the level I would be saying it, with a being that is, I think, what's gargantuan in size? Is that 50 foot by
biggest.
50?
It
It is the biggest. The biggest of sizes. There's a.
Ross is doing a little.
Yes, gargantuan is 20 foot by 20 foot or higher.
What's that? Oh, right. Okay.
So, or larger.
Tesla is staring at Aldrin like maybe he wasn't that trustworthy all along.
Imitation is the sincerest form of flattery, man.
Why are you still talking?
Exactly the kind of soft-skin mortal bullshit I have to contend with. Look, just will you explain why you are here?
Aldrin is not saying a fucking thing.
We are here on a job.
And what is the job?
I think maybe there's been some miscommunication. We were told there was a very young, very tiny, very nasty black dragon who was doing lots of pillaging and pilfering and scaring sheep and things, and we were sent to sort that problem. That has clearly not the case. You are neither tiny nor young, nor you seem actually that. I mean, terrifying, but I don't think you seem to be doing much pilfering. So we're clearly in the wrong and have clearly made a terrible mistake, and we're very sorry for disturbing you.
Lifts a claw. So, who said these things?
I said the name. I've been looking for my email with the mission in it, but I can't find it. It's
Taman Brittlegrin.
Brittlegrin Halvorin.
that one, yeah. I say
Yeah, no loyalty.
he's a gnome, illusionist. The village is that way so far many days. Seemed like a bit of a snake, my liege.
Ungrateful little shit. After all I did for him.
Has he lied to us?
Did he open his mouth?
I can't say that with us.
Look at Tin. Look at the ancient black dragon. Look at Tin. Look at the ancient black dragon. Yeah, maybe.
What?
That was so sincere coming out of Tim's mouth. Like, has he lied to her?
My dragon liege, what have you done for him, if that's not a terribly rude question?
Didn't he say?
No. Cecil just backs away a few steps.
Seems rather to figure. Little shit comes in asking for advice, gives me some trinkets, sort of waves their hand over a sort of slightly pathetic pile of gold, and says, and ask for a steer on some local treasures. Give them some advice in exchange for their undieting loyalty, and then the little bastard goes and sends hit teams out after me. What a little sack of shit. And so you are serving this degenerate? No. Working alongside very temporarily.
We were given a very specific contract, and given that the details of that contract were clearly improper, I would now consider our working relationship with, quite as you say, this little shit to be null and void. We are very much available for new arrangements to be made.
Justin, can I see any religious symbols around the lair?
Ooh, please roll investigation.
It's one of my fantastic... 14.
14. You don't see a great deal. You see sort of just vaguely kind of looking out over the loot pile. You see a couple of sort of fairly disparate bits and bobs that look like they're just sort of things that have been gathered. So you sort of, you see like a sigil of Lathander or something like that, just here and there.
I can't see any sort of Tiamat.
You don't particularly see any Tiamat stuff. There don't seem to be any sigils or holy items of Tiamat around. Although obviously you are aware of the relationship that chromatic dragons have to Tiamat. Where were we? We were saying you were saying that, and yes, and Thraximandis says, I must say, did you sign a contract?
Yeah.
Yes.
And you're now willing to reverse your position on said contract?
Well, I have some questions.
What?
This treasure, did you steal it?
Backing away from Tin.
Yeah, me too. I'm literally just sidestepping.
I'm so sorry, everyone.
Step back.
I don't feel like it's been explicitly said to a degree where Tin will understand it, and therefore...
Did I steal it?
Yes.
Are you implying that my right of ownership and prerogative was not valid?
Tin didn't understand any of those words.
Sidestepping further.
Well, it's quite simple, really. We were told that there was a dragon here who was stealing people's things, and I just want to check whether that is referring to you or not.
Slapped Tin in the face.
Wading through.
How
comically.
dare you speak down to the mighty liege?
What is your armor class, Aldrin?
Aldrin.
20.
20. Okay. So it got a natural 20. They got a natural 20. As all Thraximandis just backhands you.
Me or Aldrin?
Aldrin.
I was trying.
Why is it backhanding Aldrin?
So that's a crit, right?
Yeah, that was a crit. That was a crit.
Dragon's Claw.
I'm quite happy about this.
Just so you know, Justin, I'm going to be searching Aldrin's body.
Very good. Oh, it's not actually that bad. It's only 20 points of bludgeoning damage. And can you please make a strength athletics score?
Yeah.
Athletics. Can you make a strength save?
Yeah, that is 17 minus 1, that's a 16.
You are catapulted 20 foot across the room. As this
I don't
thing
understand why it's
as Ulthraximandus. And with quivering rage in their voice, Ulthraximandus says, I can handle my own matters. Thank you.
You hear from this battered and bruised body, oh, of course, my
Do
liege.
not presume, mortal, to even pretend that you understand what I want and what I need. I am beyond your comprehension.
Of course.
Your lives are sparks to me. I have seen thousands of you rise and fall. And they will now lie in the ground. And puts out a hand and seems to be taking a real hard look at you, Tin, and just reaches out and picks you up and moves you towards their face. And you can smell their acrid breath. And is having a real good look, got a good roll on the insight roll. You feel, as Ulthraximandus' mouth opens, you see little wisps of kind of acidic vapor spiraling up, and some of them catch you and sort of sting your flesh. And very quietly, Ulthraximandus says, well, little half-orc, it would seem you've been lied to. By the right of strength, all I survey rightfully belongs to me. And indeed, by the right of who has lived on this land. I've lived on this land far longer than that nasty little man. Whatever vulgar changes he wants to make to the villagers round here do not concern me. It is my right to hunt where I wish. They live on this land by my sufferance. So yes, you have been lied to by a squatter.
Can I roll to see how much of that I understood?
Of course, please make an intelligence check.
That is a 3.
That is a 3.
What are someone who sits down for a poop?
So I think she understands you have been lied to.
And all the other stuff
that's
is just a
basically
monkey
it.
with symbols.
Yes.
Presumably also echoing through the cavern as the previous whisper.
Exactly, yeah. Like even the whispers are very loud, simply from the sheer size of the vocal folds on this thing. And with surprising gentleness, they place you down and sort of survey you and say, although I can't say it bodes very well that you'd be so willing to turn your backs on a contract which you have signed, I may have some use for you.
To be fair, we signed a contract that said we would deal with a very small, young, puny dragon, so the contract is null and void.
Did I say you could speak?
I didn't realize we had to ask permission.
Oh, no. Please keep on going. Yes, the one with the raised hand. That was... you all look much alike. Small one.
My great liege, I am a...
Look, enough with the flattery.
Yes, my liege. My name is Ferocity Silk Dragon of the House of Silk Dragon, named after your great worm kind. I am a follower of the fiercest of Dark Queens, Tiamat, the fiercest of all goddesses. Our contract was only to do with company shares and that kind of thing. And then this little bastard was talking about some young dragon, which I plan to make friends with anyway, if I possibly could, because you're the fiercest of creatures on Faerun. If there's anything we can do for you, I, for one, would love to do anything to make you happy.
Roll persuasion, please.
It's a natural 20. Make
Yeah!
it 7.
Perfectly timed.
Yes.
And then sort of, I think you were next. Points at Trey.
And I'm also exposing because Ferocity has a tattoo of Tiamat coming up her chest, and the 5 heads are pointing here, so I'm sort of exposing the thing to Charlotte.
Wait, how exposed?
Oh, you're muted.
Not exposed.
Right, so you're not just flashing the dragon.
Yeah.
Not the entire thing, but I mean the heads come up the shoulder blades and the neck. Usually I've got all scars.
Can you make a wisdom saving throw? No. Can you make an insight check, please? Ferocity.
Probably the answer to that. That is a 3.
A 3. You don't pick up on this. Can everybody else please make insight checks? Wow.
It's an 11.
I got a natural 1, so...
So insightful. Come on, Aldrin.
24.
Come on, Aldrin.
Hey!
So, Tin, you pick up a little bit on this. Aldrin, you definitely pick up on this. You see the facial expression of someone who's like... It's like somebody wearing a sigil of your religion as like a fashion accessory. It's that kind of like...
Which is 100% what it is.
Exactly. It really is like, somebody very devout seeing like a symbol of their religion being used as like a, haha, this is a cool fad. One of those things. And you just see a sort of just but it's not particularly like angry or vicious. It's just a...
God, the kids these days.
Yeah, just a real look of like internal vomit and contempt of just not one of these. Of all the things I don't need in my day, it's a dragon fan. And then sort of turns to look at Trey and says, "I believe you were next."
Yes, thank you for letting me have my turn. I just wanted to put it out there that as we were given the contract on false terms, it would be immoral for us not to switch sides now when the reality of the situation presents itself, regardless of a signed written agreement.
Please roll persuasion.
That was a natural 1.
What is that going to look like?
Does Trey get advantage from the fact that Cecil made...
I have inspiration.
Yes, you have inspiration,
point.
and I would also say, yeah, Cecil has already made that point.
You didn't let me roll, so can I give Trey advantage? You just told me to shut up, so I...
Yes. Sorry, I did a lot of dragon work there. I apologize. So what we'll do in that case is, which of you has the higher charisma?
It's not me.
Probably Trey.
I mean, I've got +1.
I have a flat 0 for charisma, but expertise and persuasion.
Okay, in which case, what I'll allow you to do is now, Cecil, you can make your roll. And if you would like, because you're working together, Trey, you can add your inspiration roll onto Cecil's roll.
Yes.
Ooh. Okay, well, that's 19 for persuasion.
Nice.
Massive. What's happened, Trey?
Just rolled another natural 1.
Oh my god. So it's a dirty 20.
Yeah.
Yay. And sort of it seems to... So I think the way that works is that Ulthraximandus hears you saying that, Trey, and seems to lose interest in what you were saying, but sort of turns back to Cecil.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And sort of, got a natural 1. I also did a bit that denied you your role despite the bit, so I apologise for that. Mechanics. And it turns towards Cecil and goes, What can you offer me?
I mean, realistically, nothing in comparison from the power we have compared to the power you have. But in terms of puny mortal things, a network of contacts stretching across the continent, an entrance into places that might be difficult, an ambassador, a voice, maybe slightly more subtle and quiet way of murdering your enemies.
Sorry.
Yeah. Sorry. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, given that it turns out the person we thought was the bad person is actually not the bad person, and the bad person has changed, maybe we could confront the bad person for you.
And shank him.
We're good at that.
Kill the gnome and bring me what he has in his basement.
Oh, but it's such a long journey. So much mud. Yes, of course.
Does Cecil say that out loud?
Please.
Cecil is deleted.
I mean, I rolled below a 10, so maybe he does, but yes.
What is in his basement?
Well, it's one of the things I helped him to find. He promised to help me and provide me with various things, which he has failed to do, and in exchange I told him where to find the runestone of the Chained Lady.
The what?
Runestone of the Chained Lady.
Yes! Does nobody read history books anymore?
What's a chained lady?
I think it might be a lady who is chained.
But who?
The chained spirit bound to the ruins a bit away from here.
It was Darwolves again.
Is that the person we met who looked a bit chained?
I don't know.
Kind of directions.
Odds are, Cecil, yes, darling.
But if the gnome fellow, I should definitely use his name, not his race. If Brittlegrin told us, if he can control that person, then why would they have attacked us?
Well, no, it doesn't control them. It just was a source of power that she sort of owned. You know, the runestone gives you fantastical illusion powers. Do you think a gnomish bard could do the things that he could do?
Can I make a history check?
Sure.
Oh, 25.
25, yes. So, on a 25, this is something that you actually picked up on the journey to Drumber, which is that it's not really one that's famous anywhere else. It's one of those local legends that, like, outside no one really gives a shit about. But here you have this legend of the Chained Lady, who was believed to be some sort of powerful magic user who was cursed many centuries ago, in fact possibly even a millennia ago, to be bound to the earth in spiritual form, and she was never allowed to pass on and die for reasons that change on every telling. But as a small mercy, she was granted a powerful stone that, when placed and activated in a certain way, would give her the ability to create wonderful illusions that would mean her eternal life on Earth would nonetheless be at least illusorily full of comfort.
So when that figure went, "I will return for what is mine,"
Probably.
So now we have to choose between giving it to Terrifying Dragon or person it rightfully belongs to. Fun.
We bring back the stone. What will you use it for?
Use it? To be honest, I'm not really entirely sure whether I even want the damn thing, but it is nice to have, isn't it?
Maybe it would be a nice thing. to give it back to the person that it actually belongs to.
Which is me. We talked about this, right of conquest, right of power, all that sort of thing. Do you not remember?
Well, I remember, but I didn't understand.
Oh, Tim, that saved me from adventurers.
But, okay, it belongs to you now. It did once belong to somebody else. Maybe a really nice and kind thing to do would be to give it to the person it used to belong to as a nice gesture.
I'm not with...
Tin just gets this look from Aldrin, and I'm not saying anything. It's just like, how are you still alive?
Can everyone other than Tin make an insight check?
Oh no.
Cecil's siding with Tin and it's gonna get him killed.
I would really... She's trying really hard and very sincerely to be persuasive, but it's just obviously very ineffective at it.
9. You don't notice anything.
22.
16?
16 and 22, yeah. Trey and Aldrin, the energy you pick up on is, oddly enough, it's the energy you might get from somebody who has, like, a slightly disgusting, badly behaved and very stupid pet that they're nonetheless oddly fond of. It's that kind of thing of being like, they're so gross. It's like, you know, when you have like, someone has like a really old, unwell dog.
Like a pug with a snaggletooth.
Yeah, and they don't really like it, but they're like, oh, look, he's incontinent. Oh, like it's that kind of like, oh, you're very, like I'll say it in fewer words for you. That's very much the vibe you get. Look, if I were out of the goodness of my heart, out of my generosity and magnificence, to grant this boon, 1, what would I get in return? And 2, would it mean that everyone would just leave me alone?
Well, to answer number 2 first, I think yes. We would ask everybody very nicely to leave you alone. We could make a sign that says, "Do not enter," in the front of your lair. And Anna, the player, has genuinely forgotten what number 1 was. And I've forgotten number 1.
I think that's actually strong Tin energy. I think Tin just forgets number 1.
What would you get out of it in return? Well, everybody would see that you were a very nice and powerful person, and they would be very respectful of you because of it. That's how things work in my hometown, anyway.
Are you saying that is neither self-evident nor currently the case?
Where are you from?
Can I roll to see if Tin understands that question?
Yes, sure. Please do roll.
It's a 15, actually.
Yeah, you probably do.
Well, I'm not saying that that's not already the case. It's just that at the moment, people are kind of scared of you. And would it not be nicer for people to respect you? They're more likely to leave you alone if they actually respect you rather than are just a bit scared of you.
I can have both.
I fear and respect you, my liege.
You need a new marketing team.
What?
Sorry, I had a stroke. Ignore me.
Oh my god, this is not how I saw this going.
Look, I, by my very nature, demand fear and respect. I have no need of your petty attempts to curry me favor amongst the short-lived flies that represent your people. I mean cold, hard material wealth or favors. What can you offer me?
Well,
to add to my magnificent, glorious hoard indicates pathetic pile of rotting weapons.
Can we get another perception check on that now we're
Sure. Yeah.
bowing and scraping?
it's a 6.
Ooh. That is a 23.
11.
I am officially putting this dice in dice jail.
Going in the naughty bin.
It got another natural one.
Oh my word! This is
That's so many.
This is statistically unbelievable. What was everyone's perceptions rolls on the pile of
11.
23.
23, 6, and a natural 1.
Not rolling because I presumed that I saw it before.
Yeah, you saw it before. I mean, to be honest, frankly, I think that it's not going to require much more than a 10. So I mean, Trey and Tin are still like, oh yeah, that's an impressive pile of treasure. Everyone else is like, man, that's like sad. Actually, that's like actively sad for a dragon to have that little treasure. Like you've been around for dragons. Part of dragons' like inherent motivation and drive is the acquisition and maintenance of hoards. And to be an ancient dragon that is probably a 10,000 years old plus and not have a big hoard is like, what have you been doing? You've been doing something really badly wrong, or someone has stolen it. Like, you've done goofed.
Just to say, you said you wanted to be left alone, and the lady that we bumped into on the way here is looking for that runestone, and she said she would come back to claim it, and if she finds out you have it, you won't get to be left alone because she will come for you.
I suppose I'll give it back. Right. Kill the little shit. Bring me the stone, I'll give it back.
For
Deal?
a second, Ferocity is like, wait, what?
Right. Are we finished?
To be clear, my liege, you just want the stone back?
Well, if you can bring me any other treasure, then do.
I would love to bring you treasures at least as equal to what you currently have as a show of my belief in our association.
That'd be very hard to find treasures equal to what I currently have. Very impressive hoard.
Absolutely. I would want to impress you, my liege. Might I ask you one final question before we go?
Go on.
I'm starting to just slowly bow and backwards.
You are an ancient and wise being. Would you know, or would you happen to know someone who knows anything about deific curses and the lifting thereof?
I do remember one about Wait, why am I telling you this now? Go and do what I want you to do. Go and do what I want you to do. Go on your way.
Of course, my liege. We will continue this conversation.
Where did I leave that? Oh, yes. And right. Conversation's over. Out you go. And reaches behind themselves and grabs another of these church bells, seemingly the matched pair for the one above, and sort of attempts to scoop you all up in it. Just sort of grabs you and sort of scoops you all up and puts one giant hand over and then sort of awkwardly waddles. You hear the sort of as you're carried up back along this corridor, sort of wiggling through, and the bell sort of dong, dong, dong bounces off the walls, at which point sort of you see that the bell sort of suddenly the hand is removed and you see what passes for daylight around here, and sort of shakes you out with the bell, goes, out you go, come on. You're all sort of poured out onto the ground, and flips it over and sort of clong, puts it back down, turns, sees the other bell and goes, oh, that's what happened to them. Oh well, grabs the two bells, turns around and says, bring me the head of the gnome and bring me the stone and we'll move it from there, and disappears back deep underground. And where the bell was lifted up, you see what look like the bodies of 5 adventurers that have been there for a couple of months under that bell.
That's good, because I thought they were going to be like ghouls that were going to attack us when we were fleeing. The table just fell over.
I kind of expected you to say, I immediately loot them.
echoing from underneath, you hear, and if you fail me or run, I will find you and melt you.
Trey slumps a little bit and just says, I did not get a sample of his breath.
We can ask for one when we come back.
Just as a moment, their breath.
Their breath, sorry.
No, it's all good. Yes. Sorry, Cecil, you said something.
We can ask them politely for one when we come back, which we're obviously definitely going to do.
Aldrin just handles his amulet in response to the dragon saying that they will find us. It's been like, good fucking luck with that.
So I want to have a party conversation about what we're going to do. Do we need to roleplay getting off the island and the lake and the swamp and all the things, or can we have a conversation without worrying about the dragon overhearing us?
I think it is reasonable to assume that the dragon couldn't hear you when you arrived on the island before. They were tipped off because Trey tipped them off by botching a stealth roll. So it is reasonable to assume up here that the dragon cannot hear what is going on.
So, we have some options.
I think first we should take the shorter bit through the lake rather than the longer bit.
I agree.
Are we coming back again?
Well, they said they would melt us.
They would have to leave their death pile and find us, which I don't think they really want to do. Also, yeah, no, little shit, great. However, they also are basically saying because they're oldest, they get to murder anyone they feel like. That's not exactly like super moral, we should be on their side behavior. So, like, power, structure, and hierarchy in this country is very important. We can't have a dragon just being like, I'm older, you die now.
Listen.
Think of the, like, noble aristocracy that could crumble. Be terrible.
Oh, you're serious?
Hello, my name is Viscount Cecil.
I mean...
Sure, that's how we all feel as well. I'm absolutely certain of it, darling.
So you agree that this dragon is also a fairly terrible creature and we should not necessarily give them what they want just because they're big and scary?
I didn't
Can
say
I
that.
turn to Aldrin and just say, you're a very smart person. What do you think?
Well, we could always ask them what happened, gesturing to the dead.
They're dead.
Am I or am I not a cleric of mask?
I don't know. In there, you seem like a carrying, sycophantic, flattering cow. Yeah, I don't know what you are.
Justin,
Yes?
can we see the dead party?
Yes.
I'm just readjusting my corks and going strolling over and having a look, see if there's any obvious shiny,
Yeah.
magic-y.
Please roll investigation.
I guess detect magic wouldn't have picked up anything because they were being covered by the bell.
Yeah.
That's a natural one.
No.
Just throwing like magic sword, magic, can't see anything. No, it's
Just saying.
I think
probably,
really,
I think.
like they've been in here. They've been decaying for some time, and they're sort
It's
of.
like, oh hell no.
It's yeah. I think it's the kind of thing where just everything looks brown. It's just like it's all brown. Like the coins, they're brown. The sword is
I'm not
brown.
even touching it. I just
like
think twice.
They don't have a mouth left, basically.
yeah.
Fair. Just quickly say to Cecil, what may have sounded like bowing and scraping to you is exactly how draconic sounds when pronounced by a human. You have seen the strength of Mask, and I would advise you strongly not to suggest any cowardice or incompetence in his followers.
That was a natural 20. I don't know if Cecil believes you.
And can you roll deception, please, Aldrin?
Yeah.
I can. I've still got my enhance ability up because hasn't been an hour.
Apart from anything, didn't we switch to common for some of the bowing and scraping?
I didn't.
But
I said one thing in common.
But the dragon in common did a lot of stop being a blithering, flattering coward, right?
Oh yeah. It's not a big deal. That's a
No, just checking I've understood. That's what.
Yeah, that's a 21.
21.
So my insight is -2, so I only rolled an 18, but it was a nat 20.
Oh.
Do I do bad luck?
Please don't leave me in a cult with this man.
The table shaker will decide whether I nerf this deception roll.
Yourself, Rebecca.
You have done this yourself.
I rolled 2 crit fails. The dice did it to me.
Oh no! Come on, table shaker. It's determining.
And then
I'm going to use
that
one of the big. Going to use one of the big table shakers. I'm going to do a D100 roll. If it's below 50, then Aldrin, you're going to have a spate of bad luck, and your deception is going to be not very convincing. If I roll above 50, the roll will stand. It's a 77. The roll stands.
I'm so sorry for doubting you.
Nonetheless, I think but an insight roll is not a lie detector, nor is a successful deception check an automatic I brainwash you. I think the way that I'd like this, that I would understand this playing is for you, Cecil. Like, something about this seems off, but you can't put your finger on it. But Aldrin does genuinely believe that this is the case. You don't get the feeling. Now, you can disagree with him and think that he's deluded, or you can think, well, maybe he is right, I'm not sure. That's down to your prerogative as a character. But, if you weren't already suspicious, he has said it quite convincingly. Like, it does give you don't have to believe him, but he has been being convincing, if that makes sense.
Cecil just wants to be loved. So as soon as Aldrin's like, be careful, Cecil will just crumble and be like, yep, you're right. I shouldn't. Yep, I'm sorry. I must have. But yep.
Let's hug it out. It's absolutely fine.
What are you doing? Are you touching me? What are you doing?
Would you mind if I gave you a hug by account, Cecil?
I haven't had a hug in like 30 years.
The Church of Mask loves and looks after our own. You got a friend in me.
Cecil will very tentatively accept the hug and then possibly cry.
I was going to say,
yeah. So
it's going to be me when I see somebody after lockdown.
I know, right? First of all, Aldrin, can you please make a? I think that's just going to be a charisma throw, just to see how nice the hug is.
Sure.
These are the rolls that matter.
It's all about them hugs.
Yeah.
So much gaslighting of Cecil, the poor boy.
Poor boy.
Yeah.
16.
Manipulation.
16. Was that 16 on the die, or?
That's a 16 with my charisma modifier.
Well, I'm actually going to use the bad luck this time. But actually, sure enough, I'm going to use it as good luck for a change. There's a very faint break in the clouds above you that, because Mask is a god of shadows, doesn't land on you. It doesn't do a beam of light on you. What it does is it breaks in the cloud above you, and it lands on a spar of the broken building, which casts a shadow over you. But the dice is now upgraded to a 17. You are now in pleasing, comforting shadow. The dice has been upgraded to a 17. So whatever the hug is, it's a nice hug.
That's a 21 hug.
It's a 21 hug. It's like, hey, you wouldn't think it. Aldrin gives good hugs. Like, this is a good hug. And yes, if Cecil would like to have a little cry, then Cecil may have a little cry.
Cecil will have a little cry.
Trey's eyes narrow in suspicion at seeing this sight, just a little in the distance.
Throws up in her mouth.
At the smell, at whatever's going on, who knows? It's all one at the moment. I think Ferocity, yeah, although you've bunged your nose, you can taste the smell. Now, it's pervasive enough that you can physically taste it.
It's the smell of the unloved aristocracy. It's the tears welling up.
Yeah.
Sort of making me gag.
Tin, what are you doing on all this? During the worst of hugs.
Tin is just really focused on, okay, new bad guy. Bad guy has lied and is bad. Therefore, we go deal with bad guy. And is just thinking all this through of like, okay, what is the right thing to do? And she thinks she knows what the right thing to do is, but doesn't know if everybody's going to agree with her. So she's just steeling herself up to have the conversation. Good.
Lovely. So we have Trey is staring on suspiciously. Tin is sort of clunk, 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 clunk. Ferocity is... And the other two are hugging it out.
Aww.
What happens next?
I'm going to have a look at the shortest route across the lake and see if there's any sort of easy way across, if there's like mountains in the middle or a causeway we just didn't look for.
That'll be a survival check.
A bridge of size.
Can I assist, seeing that Ferocity is doing this?
Of course.
Not a perception check, because I'm just looking.
Yeah, all right. You can make a perception check. Go on.
And you have advantage, because I'm sort of looking with you.
Like doing this over Ferocity's eyes.
Yeah, just...
22. On a 22, what you realise is, because you couldn't see it from this side, it's not so much a causeway, but there is a slightly raised area. It's still underwater, but it's not under waist-deep water. It's more like ankle-deep water that looks like what may once have been a road that leads to the front of this building. And so going out, you're like, oh, this is... We were coming at it from the back. This is the front gate. So you've got a kind of submerged pathway that looks like it might be a little bit safer to traverse than the deep water.
Honeys, there's a bit of a sort of sunken road this way. Shall we? Yeah, squad.
When you say a little bit safer, does it still look like it might attract lake denizens, but just be quicker to? Or is it too shallow to attract denizens?
It probably looks a little bit too shallow to attract the denizens. It would also be too shallow for the denizens to hide from you.
Nice.
Should we try?
Let's go.
Let's do it.
Right, we head out back into the wilderness. Once again, like this period of calm and slightly warmer. It's curious, despite the general kind of horror, this underground was marginally warmer than it was above. As a result of all the decay. But as you proceed, so you have 6 miles to get back to the campsite from the night before.
Sorry, Justin.
Yeah?
As we're sort of about to set off, I suddenly have a thought. And I think, Trey, the smell was a bit too much for me. It was a bit gooey, but might you be able to check that less well-fated party, see if they've got any water skins?
Yes, of course I will, Ferocity. Anything for a friend.
Oh, stop it.
Lovely.
And I would like to go and check.
But don't stop it. Carry on.
Please roll investigation.
Okay. That is... My investigator's the -1, so this is 17.
17, good. So on investigating these, you realise that none of these bodies have signs of trauma. As much as anything, it looks as if they have died of either suffocation or starving or thirst from being trapped inside this bell. In fact, from the way it looks like they were treated much as you were, but they were just sort of much as they've kind of been scooped up and plonked outside like that, and just sort of slowly suffocated. They have no magical equipment on them. In fact, they have empty scabbards. One of them has an empty scabbard. Another one clearly has a place where a book would have been. It looks like they have given away all of their magic items. When your detect magic was active, by the way, Aldrin, you will have picked up vaguely kind of sparks of magic from the horde, but that wouldn't have been something particularly unusual for a dragon. Is to have a few minor magic items. I'm sorry, I should have mentioned that earlier. That was bad on me. Yeah, I think they would have died of suffocation, which means that they have maybe half water skins left. So you've got enough water to just about make your way back out of this swamp. Absolutely superb play there. That was a real galaxy brain moment. Well done. Mm-hmm. Nicely done. Frosty, you came up with the idea? Yes, that's big. That was really nice. Well done. So you have some, and now the water skins are fine, because a couple of them have sort of some slightly stale beer in them. Their rations are rotten to hell. They're just awful. Good, very good. Are we heading off?
Yeah, let's head off.
Yeah,
right, okay.
I deal out the water and on our way.
And we're on our way. So first of all, I'd like to have a survival check from the guide.
That's a dirty 20.
Yay! My God! So what I'm going to say is because it's the journey back and it's familiar terrain. You manage to make your way. It's slow going, it's tiring, it's unpleasant, it's wet, it's grim. You don't run into anything in particular on the journey back, although the cold, it gets worse, and the rain, you get a thin rain. What you do get is a brutal wind. Once you reach the edge of the worst bit of the swamp, you get a savage blasting, the kind of thing that you need to lean into, and it's hard to hit. And what should be light rain becomes vicious stabbing, sort of almost, when you get rain that's driven so hard that it feels like you're getting stabbed. It's just whipping into you, and you need to shield your eyes from it. Viciously unpleasant weather. But nonetheless, you manage to find your way back to the original campsite that you stayed at the night before. It's still got sort of exploded zombies and skeletons all over it, and you can see the place where the fire pit was, and where you've sort of left behind some of the sticks that were used to prop up your impromptu bivouac. Would you think you'd stay here for the night?
What time of day or night?
So by the time you've gone to the dragon and back, that's about. It's probably, so if it's 6 miles each way at half speed, that's 12 miles, 24 miles, that's a day's travel. Obviously, you've had that break in the middle, which means that it's probably slightly after dark by the time you arrive here. It's a little way. You sort of arrive back out of this swampy bit in darkness. But nonetheless, due to the dirty 20, I think maybe again, it's just Tin is just like, well, easiest way to go anywhere is in a direct straight line. And so you're not even like trying to like navigate in a fancy way. You're just like, it was that way in a straight line, and just sort of hand axing your way forward. Yes.
We'll cast augury and ask, is it safe to camp here?
Very cool.
And the response is wheel. It is safe to camp here.
Nice.
By the grace of Mask, with a pointed look at everybody, I have discerned that it is safe to camp here. And just in orcish to Tin, perhaps you and I should have a little talk later.
Of course.
The weather's still terrible, right, Justin?
The weather is hideous. It's
cool.
Awful.
I will raise a zombie and give them my blanket to hold over me.
You will do what now?
Nice.
Right, so Aldrin, what does you raising the dead look like?
Me raising the dead, I'm just sort of standing, chanting these eldritch phrases, and then you see that my eyes kind of flash, and just this darkness spreading down my arm, and then flowing into the dead zombie on the ground, which starts just sort of jerking awake, and then stands up and looks at me, and I hand it my blanket.
Aldrin, honey, that is fierce.
Yeah. What can I say? The mask giveth, the mask
Makes
giveth more.
How does everybody feel about this? As this...
We have a new member of the party.
Yeah.
We should name him.
It's Cecil. You seem to be particularly upset by this.
Cecil is not cool with this.
Yeah. What would Cecil do?
I don't know, because Aldrin scares Cecil a little bit now.
Would Cecil simply write in a particularly upset section of journal, or?
No, I feel he's matured over the last 24 hours. Possibly just go do that slightly sulky teenage thing of go sit by himself a little distance away with like his back to the really creepy zombie.
Oh no, this has been a real journey between a friend. Oh no.
Cecil feels something is wrong, but is so sure that he's an idiot and must be getting it wrong, and Aldrin seems powerful and wise and right, that Cecil is going to sit and try and work out what's wrong with him that he is uncomfortable about this zombie.
Oh, Rebecca, that hits different.
At some point, Trey would like to go over and sit with Cecil and have a quiet word.
Very well. Would you like to run that now?
Sure.
Yeah.
I just kind of sidle on over.
Yes.
Like Trey, quiet word. I am whispering.
You have selected quiet volume.
Hang on, I just kind of like tweak my nose ring and just kind of... Okay, I am low volume now. So, Cecil, I too was once an expendable member of a shadow-themed cult. I know what you're going through. It's okay. You can be your own person. You do not need the approval of anyone else. I am here for you.
That's a lot of information all at once. I am not I don't need anyone's approval. What are you talking about? No, I just...
The spirit.
I would. I know full well I'm a little bit of a disappointment everywhere I go. I just.
Oh, Cecil, you are a valuable member of the team. Don't think anything different. I will let you sit with these thoughts for a while, but if you want to talk more, I am here. Have a good night. And I just kind of give him a little pat on the back, maybe a little bit too hard.
Pang, pang, pang.
And then I turn my volume back up. So yes, and then I said, ha ha, that was a very funny joke. Stuart?
Can you please...
Yes!
Can you both please make deception checks?
Okay. Sure. I might actually cry.
I would pay Trey for therapy.
Yeah. That was a natural 20. I'm rolling so well and so badly simultaneously.
Yeah.
I've got a 12.
12. So that comes across as exactly the non sequitur that it was. Is that like out of nowhere? And so then I said, and I was like, what the, why are they suddenly talking? Nonetheless, Cecil, I think, so to the apparent non sequitur that seems to come completely out of nowhere, having nobody been hearing it beforehand, your laugh is sort of, I think because it's maybe with that, it's incredibly convincing because there's a kind of catharsis of you are feeling all of the emotions, and so it's not actually relevant whether it's a laugh or what. It's just the fact that you are expressing some sort of emotion. It's all very real, and it all comes through it, so it seems very real.
Great. As Trey, am I right getting up to leave?
Yeah.
Cecil will just call them back just for a second and go, no one's ever said anything that kind to me. So I'm not good at, but thank you. I'll think.
It's okay. You do not need to thank me for saying the truth.
I was not expecting emotion in this campaign.
I feel like we need the Fellowship of the Ring theme swelling.
As I start playing it badly, honestly.
Trey has grown very fond of Cecil and kind of sees a lot of themselves in Cecil's situation.
Oh,
So, yeah.
my god! That was very sweet. That was gorgeous. What's everyone else up to during this? Are they just sort of on guard or bickering?
Tin is reading her book.
Very good. Tin is reading her book. How is her book?
Dog.
Huh?
Is it Spot the dog?
I mean, if anybody wants to look at what Tin is reading, I'll happily reveal to you what it is.
I think it'd be fun if Frosty, would you be interested at all in what Tin was reading, or?
I mean, I'm interested in offering Tin some fashion tips. Frosty likes a good book now and then, but usually, well. What are you reading, darling?
Oh, I'm teaching myself to read.
Fabulous.
And as she shows you the book, I mean, this is a DM call. It's not in a language I imagine that you recognize, but it's basically like a book with a cartoon of a horse, and then like one word over the top, and then the next one is like a cartoon of like a house, and then one word over the top.
Can I just do a little bit of a fluff thing regarding what this is? So, just a moment. So what it is it's very much that energy. But instead of it being like a picture of a horse, it's like a picture of an aboleth with writing over it, a picture of a mind flayer with writing over it, a picture of a mind blasting, sanity warping monstrosity from the darkness between the stars, a word over it.
But in Tin's brain, Tin is relating these to things that she knows what they are in the real world. So she thinks that she's teaching herself like the word for horse and like the word for like monster or whatever.
Well, really what she is teaching herself is Dreadmaster Cthulhu.
Book of True Names.
Yes.
Actually, just for the hell of it, Frosty, can you, when you look at this book, can you please make a wisdom saving throw?
That is a healthy 3.
A healthy 3. Can you please make a D100 roll?
Oh yeah, that's exciting.
Oh no.
Oh, I hope I turn into an elder god. 72.
72.
Might be boring.
Okay.
You want really high or really low?
For 6 minutes, Frosty. You see this and you feel you feel your sanity begin to warp as you look at words that things man was not meant to know. You're affected by a short-term madness for 6 minutes, wherein you do whatever anyone tells you, or you do whatever anyone tells you to do that isn't obviously self-destructive. for 6 minutes as you are struck by madness. Now, no one else knows that this has happened, but basically you sort of go, as you look at this thing and sort of the, all the psychedelic, like,
Yeah.
Tin is simply too used to this book.
I just sort of like stare at it and like
Tin started out with an intelligence of 20 and then started reading the book.
poking the pages, a little bit of dribble coming down.
Tin, how would you respond?
Do you not know how to read either?
Guess not.
Do you know of other books where I can learn to read more effectively? I'm nearly finished with this one.
Yes.
I've had it for 1.5 years.
Yes. Ferocity goes into, like, quite clumsily, just starts going, when you're, well, I don't know if you do, but I've heard of people who have taken drugs in the past, and when they're absolutely out of it and they're just trying to do something really simple, like open their front door or something, or if they're really drunk, I should have gone straight to that one, and they're just like trying to get the key in the keyhole for like 5 minutes or something. I'm just trying to get in my bag of holding and sort of swaying a bit, and then finally come out with a book which is on like fashion and pattern cutting from Baldur's Gate, and it's got nice pictures and stuff. And offer it to.
What language is it in?
It's in Common.
Tin, you may add a book on well, tailoring really and haberdashery in Common from Baldur's Gate.
She, however, can't at all because she's been teaching herself to read deep speech. So she's like, oh, there's all these new words. None of these are words that I know.
What is that letter? Why don't the tentacles on these words move and put themselves into your mind?
It's not deep speeches, it's like old ones and stuff.
Yeah, it's the language of aboleths and that. Aberrations, specifically. An alien form of communication in the far realm.
Nice.
Using the Espruar script. So it has no native script of its own, but it uses an elven script. But you're basically learning the language deep speech in an elven script. Indeed. Well, if we would like to, unless there's anything anyone else would like to do. Right, so what we're going to do, we're going to expedite the journey home. So we're just going to see whether there's any major incidents. Right, so what we're going to do now is we're going to go to the end of the journey, and what we'll do is we will do the decision in flashback at the start of the next turn, and that start of the next round, because on your way back, as you're sort of trudging through, you come out and you sort of go to sleep. The night, a short way away from the village. It's only a half day's journey away, and you wake up in the morning, and once again, it's actually it's an okay temperature. Not too much rain, but still with a heavy wind. And as you are trudging backwards, distantly coming over the horizon, you can hear what sound like the sound of alarm bells. And we will leave it there. Fantastic. Nice. Okay, time for the outro. Thank you everyone for joining us and being part of the very plot and roleplay heavy, and also with some really heartwarming, like legit, like genuinely moving moments there. That was really lovely. Some lovely party bonding. We have attempts to convert, which have varying success. We have somebody receiving love that they never have received before. We have the granting of self confidence and identity, and we've also got somebody being driven mad by words that they were never meant to have read. So if you enjoyed tonight, we play every Tuesday night, 7 till 10. Last week is that's Greenwich Mean Time. That is next week is the last episode of this campaign, in which we will reveal what's going on with this runestone, what's going on with the Chained Lady, and whether Master Taman Brittlegrin Halvril and all Thraxamandus are going to have come to some kind of agreement, or whether it's going to be something else considerably bloodier. So there's also on Monday night, 6 till 9, there's Sea of Swords Forsaken. That's going to the end of 2020, and there will be a new show kicking off in 2021. All of our shows are streamed at twitch.tv/rolltogetherrpg. They are often hosted at twitch.tv/D&D, and you can find all of our content archived on YouTube. There's a link in the chat for that. Big thanks again to our sponsors Hero Forge and Ultra Pro, which is these dudes, and our other supporters D&D Beyond, Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms, Level Up Dice, and Zavi.com. And we're also all over social media as Roll Together RPG. Much love. Thank you everyone for joining us. Thank you again for the awesome players. You're all wonderful and superb. That was a joy, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.